Conversation 1. Revitalizing the Old Community Center.
What are you up to right now? I need your opinion on the old community center.
I'm thinking about moving abroad, actually. But tell me, what's the problem?
Hi guys. Don't give up on that project yet. Let's identify the problem first.
The thing that matters most is time. We have to tackle the chronic neglect of the building before the city condemns it.
That's not entirely accurate. The city hasn't issued any warrant yet, but some allege that the previous owner was involved with a cult.
A cult? That seems theatrical. But I heard there was a breakthrough in the investigation. An inmate gave a thread of information.
We need clarity on this. If we keep trying, we'll get a viable solution.
You could try something else. Maybe a guerrilla gardening campaign to beautify the area. That would combat the neglect.
I feel like trying something new. Perhaps we could beam a message with lights to draw attention.
That's a fierce idea. But we need a trio of committed volunteers.
I'll be traveling this time tomorrow, but I can help plan now. How many people are we looking for?
At least 3, but more would be better. We need to combat the apathy in the neighborhood.
Let's organize a meeting. I'll contact the local newspaper to cover our efforts. That might give us the clarity we need.
Good. And if the cult allegations turn out to be true, that could be a separate issue.
I think we should focus on the building first. The chronic neglect is the real problem.
Agreed. Let's start with a small group. This trio can be the core.
I'll prepare a plan before I leave. Don't give up if we run into obstacles.
I won't. Let's identify the next steps after you return.
Sounds good. I feel like we're making a breakthrough.
Conversation 2. Moving Day, Chaos.
This is so frustrating. The boxes aren't labeled, and I can't find my kettle.
Take a breath. You've put in a tremendous amount of effort already. If I had given up, I wouldn't be here helping you now.
True, but the landlord was supposed to have the warehouse key ready. It's absurd.
Have you spoken to the managing agent? Isn't he the nominee for the building committee?
He's away today. Some other person will preside over the handover. I hope they show some mercy.
Excuse me. I'm the investigator from the housing office. I heard there was a confrontation earlier.
Not exactly. Just a misunderstanding about the rear entrance. The neighboring tenant blocked it with his car.
I see. Do you have the definitive floor plan? That would settle things.
Somewhere in this strip of boxes. I'll sort this out later. First, let's come up with new ideas for unloading.
Let's work it out together. Where are you from originally? You mentioned your old apartment was smaller.
From a town up north. I see things differently now. Moving is more work than I remembered.
I'll figure it out with the neighbor. By the way, you'll need to merge those 2 piles of furniture to free up space.
Good point. I'll be working on improving myself by staying organized from now on.
We should prioritize what matters most, the kitchen and bedroom.
Agreed. I'm satisfied if we just get the bed set up tonight.
The inspection is partially complete. I'll note the issue with the entrance.
This tape measure is handy. Keep it in your pocket.
Thanks. After this, I need to strip that old wallpaper in the hallway.
That'll be a job for another day. Let's focus.
Conversation 3. Historical Film Script Review.
The setup for this meeting is a bit messy. Let's set things up properly. We need to set clear goals.
Good idea. First, we should inspect the script for any historical inaccuracies.
I've been working on the research for weeks. The backdrop of the story is the 19th century revolution.
We should consider all possibilities for the protagonist. If I had the chance, I would depict him as a complex figure, not just a hero.
The person who handled the historical sources did a great job. But I'm worried about the testimony we used from the old letters. Is it reliable?
It might be a good idea to try this. We can add a disclaimer about the copyright of those letters.
You must have forgotten. We already have permission from the archive. But we need explicit consent for any direct quotes.
This is too complicated. The faction that exiled the character might sue us if we portray them as villains.
Actually, that faction proclaimed the exile as a necessary measure.
We can use a theoretical approach. Show the inequality of the era without taking sides.
There was a scene where we see the character bleed after an attack. Should we keep it?
Yes, but make sure it's not too graphic. We don't want an explicit violence rating.
The report on historical accuracy was submitted last week. It confirms no major wrongdoing in our script.
That could work. The testimony of a witness could be added as a voiceover.
Let's set things up for the next draft. We need to set clear goals for the timeline.
I've been working here for years, and I've never seen such a tight schedule.
We should consider all possibilities for funding. Maybe a grant exclusively for historical films.
The film's backdrop is now ready, but we still need to inspect the costumes.
This is too complicated. We have to decide on the abortion subplot. Is it necessary?
It might be a good idea to try this. Remove it entirely to avoid controversy.
The person who wrote that subplot did a great job, but it might distract from the main theme.
Let's put that aside and focus on the core story. We need to proclaim our vision clearly.
Agreed. The theoretical framework we discussed earlier can guide us.
Conversation 4. Planning the Community Art Festival.
I think we should focus on the visual imagery of the festival. It's crucial for attracting visitors.
That's a good point, but we need to consider the expenditure. Our budget is tight.
Reportedly, the City Council approved a grant for cultural events. Maybe we can apply for that.
If I were you, I wouldn't rely on that grant. There's a risk of corruption in these processes.
Are you for real? You think there's corruption? That's a strong accusation.
I'm not saying it's certain, but we should be cautious. A subsequent audit might reveal issues.
That changed my perspective. Maybe we should steer clear of government funding and find a private patron instead.
Such a contradiction could breed mistrust among the team, but a patron could give us more autonomy. However, we have to ensure their imagery aligns with ours.
Exactly. We need a better plan to find the right patron. Let's narrow it down to a few local businesses.
But we also need to avoid an epidemic of indecision. We have to make a decision soon.
I agree. The decision was made yesterday regarding the venue, so that's settled. Now we need to elevate the event's profile.
That's of supreme importance. We can't obsess over every detail.
This isn't efficient. We're spending too much time on minor things. Let's assign respective responsibilities.
Good idea. I'll handle the budget. You two handle the imagery and patron relations. Just text me when you arrive at the meeting tomorrow.
Fine. But if problems arise, we may need to intervene quickly.
Everything happens for a reason. If we work well, it'll be successful.
I was watching TV when you called earlier, and I saw a documentary about community festivals. Gave me some ideas.
Great. Let's incorporate those.
Conversation 5. Renting an apartment.
Hey Sarah, I've been meaning to call you. How are you?
Honestly, I'm emotionally drained. I've been dealing with my landlord all week.
No way. What happened?
Well, the guy who helped me was very kind. He said everything was fine. But now my landlord claims I damaged the floor. He's trying to compel me to pay for a full replacement.
That's ridiculous. I'm not sure if that's true. Did you take photos when you moved in?
I did, fortunately. I'm blessed I took them. But the landlord is in denial about the pre-existing scratches. He wants to enact a new rule that tenants must pay a premium for any minor wear and tear.
Sounds like a plan to talk to the Provincial Tenancy Board. They might prescribe specific guidelines for these disputes.
I agree. Did he mention anything about the availability of a proper inspection report?
No, and that's the issue. He didn't foresee this dispute, so there's no documentation. He's trying to divert attention by blaming me.
Unbelievable. I'm still thinking about it, but maybe you should use prevention strategies, like documenting everything in writing from now on.
Yes, and does your lease mention anything about the building's heritage status? Sometimes that can inhibit renovation claims.
I'm not sure. The apartment does reside in a historic district, but that shouldn't affect a simple floor issue.
Well, I'm glad we had this conversation. You have a strong case.
Thanks. I'll figure things out eventually. It's just frustrating.
I believe that if you stay calm, you'll undoubtedly win this.
I hope so. For now, I'm just feeling under the weather from all the stress.
Conversation 6. Bookstore renovation.
Give me a second. I'm just checking if the new shelves are stable.
Sure. I'm starting to understand why you've been so stressed lately.
I wish I had started earlier with the renovation. Successive delays pushed everything back.
We should look at the bigger picture. Once it's done, this place will feel completely different.
I hope so. The disruption to our regular customers has been noticeable.
Have you gotten any critique from them?
A few people explicitly said they miss the old cozy layout, but I think the new design might overturn that opinion.
Hi, I heard you're reopening tomorrow. Are you eligible for any opening day discounts?
Actually, I'm offering a special promotion. If you change your mind, tell me, but I'd suggest coming early.
Let me see. What about the old reading corner? Has it begun to fade from the plan?
No, we kept it but made it more spacious. The sensation of being surrounded by books is still there.
That's the heart of the bookstore. The mindset that you build matters for the atmosphere.
Absolutely. I regret saying that I'd tear down the entire layout, but the contractor's resignation set us back.
I can't quite explain why, but I think the changes will attract a new crowd.
I hope so. This place has always been a humble gem.
Thank you. I'll follow up on this with the city inspector tomorrow.
There's still a sense of humanity here that you can't smash with renovation.
That's kind of you to say. And the stimulus from the local community has been encouraging.
So the new rules about seating, are they applicable to everyone?
Yes, I've explicitly posted the policy. Thereby, no one can claim ignorance.
Well, every merchant faces these challenges. You've handled it well.
Conversation 7. Organizing the neighborhood art fair.
I'm really thrilled about the upcoming art fair. The turnout could be huge this year.
Yes, I hope so. But the problem has been solved regarding the venue, right? I recall we had issues with space.
Absolutely. The council has authorized us to use the main square. It offers a wonderful array of spaces for artists.
That's great. If I were in your position, I'd start promoting it now. We need to enroll more volunteers to help set up.
I agree. I wish I could stay longer to help, but I have to attend to a minute detail in a few hours. Could you handle the volunteer list?
Sure. I'll see you later at the planning meeting. By the way, what about the food stalls? We need to stir some interest.
Good point. We have a tender for local vendors, but I think we should complement the art with some live music.
That would be meaningful for the community. I regret not proposing that earlier. You have a sharp wit when it comes to ideas.
Thanks, but I also worry about potential embarrassment if something goes wrong. Let's have a high tolerance for minute changes.
My aspiration is to make this fair a yearly event. It could have a profound impact on local artists.
Absolutely. The reason why I left the last meeting early was simple. I had a family emergency. But now I'm back.
No problem. If it gets worse with the weather forecast, we'll move indoors. There's a bay area in the community center.
That could work. I'm proud of what I did last year to coordinate the volunteers. You should trust yourself more this time.
I'll try. Let's keep the planning organized. Every detail matters, even minute adjustments.
Indeed. We have a diverse array of participants this year. It will be a truly cultural event.
I need to go shopping for supplies later. Want to join?
I can't. Sorry. I have another commitment. But I'll see you at the meeting.
Perfect.
Conversation 8. Office policy debate.
Long time no see, Mark. You look exhausted.
I'm feeling tired, honestly. This new policy is a real burden on our department. I'm struggling to stay focused because of all the extra paperwork.
What policy are you talking about? I haven't heard anything.
The ruling about mandatory overtime. Management decided we have to work 2 extra hours every Friday without compensation.
That's crazy. How did that happen without anyone raising an objection?
Well, a few people tried to advocate for us, but the HR department refused to listen. Their inability to see the problem is frustrating.
I'm going to lobby for a meeting with the director. If you try, you'll succeed in getting their attention. We need to consolidate our complaints into one clear message.
Good idea. But you might want to think again about including Sarah. She tends to boast about her own ideas, which could widen the conflict instead of solving it.
You have a point. Still, her vocal support could help us. We shouldn't overlook her energy.
True. I understand how you feel, Mark, but we need every voice. I'll bring it up later at the team meeting. Let's pick up where we left off tomorrow.
Fine. But if management doesn't bow to pressure, there will be outrage from the staff.
I hope not. The only real beneficiary of this policy is the company itself, not us. We need to prove our effectiveness before it gets worse. We should utilize every piece of evidence we have.
Exactly. Let's prepare our arguments tonight.
Conversation 9. Organizing a book club.
So, I was thinking we should start a book club. What are your hobbies? I know you both love reading.
That's a good one. I've been wanting to do something like that, but we need a clear plan.
I'm having second thoughts. My schedule is already packed, but I'm inclined to join if we keep it simple.
Don't worry. I've drafted a roster of potential members. We can appoint someone to coordinate.
Let's take this into account. We need a regular meeting chamber.
Yes, they have a room available, but we also need a provision for snacks or drinks. That's a bit of a hassle.
You don't have to worry about that. I can bring some. But first, let's discuss the kind of books.
I'm not into that kind of thing. Non-fiction only. I prefer novels. Irony, you're the one who suggested non-fiction last time.
That's true, but I've changed. I need some inspiration. Maybe a landmark book like To Kill a Mockingbird.
If I stay focused, I'll succeed in organizing this. But your rhetoric is convincing, see? I'm leaning towards classics.
Never give up on your idea. We can have a mix. However, we need to be careful not to wholly overwhelm ourselves.
I agree. One thing, we should set a date and not let it vanish from our calendars.
Let me check my schedule. I'll let you know tomorrow. Also, we might want to congratulate ourselves for finally starting.
Sure. But first, let's not detain each other with too much planning. We can start small.
I feel more grounded now that we have a draft. Flexibility is key.
Absolutely. And this initiative could improve our collective literacy, which is a worthy goal.
Yes, that sounds good. I'll bring a list of suggestions.
Great. And I can look into the community center's availability.
Perfect. Then we'll have everything in place.
Conversation 10. Planning the office renovation.
Is everything okay? You look stressed.
Honestly, I'm kind of confused about the office renovation timeline. The contractor mentioned a structural flaw in the wall, and now I'm not sure what to do.
A structural flaw? That sounds serious. The report that I read yesterday mentioned a minor defect, but nothing major.
Yes, but if this continues, we'll need a solution. The accumulation of small issues could delay everything for weeks. You might want to reconsider approving the next phase until we verify the extent of the damage.
I'll probably stay home tomorrow to go over the plans again. I have a gut feeling something's off with the corridor width and the new furniture fit.
You might be right about holding off. But we also need to empower the team to make quick decisions. I don't want too much involvement from upper management slowing us down.
Agreed. However, I'm about to make a decision on hiring an external consultant to stabilize the situation. We need someone with surgical precision, or at least a very methodical approach.
I'll reach out to them today. The consultant you mentioned last week seems knowledgeable about organizational restructuring.
Good. And you must finish this today, sending that email, I mean. Otherwise, the contractor might denounce the agreement and walk away.
I know. Frankly, I'm tired of this cutting criticism from the finance department. They keep questioning every expense.
That's their job. But perhaps we can instruct them to focus on long-term gains rather than short-term costs. A more liberal budget might actually save us money later.
The book that I read on project management said exactly that. Invest early to avoid defects later. It emphasized the activation of proactive measures.
Fine. Let's schedule a meeting to clarify the plan. I'll begin the activation of the team's group chat now.
Conversation 11. Neighborhood protest and broadband dispute.
Hey, have you heard about the protest downtown yesterday?
I saw an alert on my phone about it. What exactly happened?
Well, it was about the broadband monopoly. Some activist groups claim the local regulator is ignoring unconstitutional pricing.
I see your point, but are you joking? They actually called it unconstitutional?
Yes, they cited a verse from the city charter about fair access. It's been a while since we last spoke about this issue, but it's getting serious.
I guess it depends on how you interpret the law. Still, the protest had minimal impact.
True, but there was some resistance from residents. A few people threw ash from a bonfire at the police.
That sounds dangerous. Stay safe out there. Was anyone hurt?
Only minor injuries. The police demanded documentation from the organizers. The regulator later issued a statement.
What do you do for a living again? You seem very informed.
I work for a nonprofit that tracks the occurrence of such events. We also received a large donation from an anonymous donor.
Interesting. This is urgent then. We need to unify our neighborhood's voice. Perhaps contact the embassy. They might have advice.
The embassy? That's unlikely. The protest was purely a residential matter, but there's an accusation that the donor has ties to foreign interests.
I was just about to say that. It complicates things.
Yes, but the regulator claims the accusation is baseless. Anyway, I'm relieved it ended without major violence.
This tastes amazing. Oh, sorry. I was just trying your coffee.
We'll see. The activist group plans a meeting.
A meeting? I might attend. I have minimal patience for these issues, but it's important.
The more the merrier. They want to unify all residential areas affected.
I'm relieved you're involved. Stay safe out there.
Conversation 12. Lunchtime plans.
Hey, Mark, it's nice to meet you properly. We've only ever exchanged emails. Thanks for your time today.
Absolutely. I'm glad we could finally have this lunch together. So, what do you think of the new software now that you've seen the demo?
Honestly, the interface is a bit crude, but once you get used to it, it's functional enough. The real problem is the buffer. It keeps lagging when I switch between tasks.
I hadn't thought of that. Maybe we need a quicker disposal of the old version's data to speed things up? I need to speed things up actually, because the team is pushing for an acceptance of the new system by next month.
That's tight, but you shouldn't doubt yourself too much. You've been instrumental in getting this far. Still, the constant loop of testing and feedback is exhausting.
Sorry I'm late. I overheard you talking about deadlines. This is not a priority right now for upper management, ironically. They're more focused on ideology than actual performance.
That's ironic, considering they want a quick rollout. Any extremist view on the project will only slow us down further. We need to let the team flourish, not stifle them with pressure.
The reason why I left the meeting early was simple. I couldn't sit through another hour of tuition on how to use a basic tool. We need to regain our focus.
I agree. A team outing might boost morale and accelerate adoption.
Agreed. Let's wrap it up here and grab some lunch. We can discuss the details over food.
Good idea. Let's stay in touch after this. I'll send you the updated timeline.
Perfect. You could have done better with the demo script though. Just a note for next time.
Fair point. I'll work on that. Anyway, let's eat before my hunger expires completely.
Conversation 13. Coastal Documentary Plans.
I'm glad we finally sat down to outline this project. I wish I had more time today, but I think a focused hour will be enough.
Absolutely. So, we need a concept for the coastal documentary. For me, the central theme should constitute a meditation on change. How rising seas are reshaping both the land and the communities.
Interesting. My counterpart on the local council hinted they'd fund a short film, but only if we highlight mobility issues. He said the new flood barriers intensify the isolation for some elderly residents.
That's a crucial angle. We could build the narrative around a single filmmaker from the area, a local who's just starting out. She could devise a simple way to filter the noise of tourism and focus on the bare facts of daily life there.
Exactly. Let's build on that idea. We could contrast her perspective with an outsider's scientific approach. The tension between personal hatred of the changes and the cold data would create a powerful melody of voices.
But we need to avoid anything inappropriate. If we show too much conflict, the funding might vanish. I really appreciate the artistic ambition, but we're tied to the council's wishes.
I understand. My initial curiosity was about the local music scene, a melody of old folk songs about the sea. That feels safe and human. I will give it some thought about how to weave the climate data into that.
That's a softer entry point. It could start with a folk singer on a bare cliff. Then, a realization hits. The same erosion that's worn the rocks is now threatening her house. We can slowly intensify the visual contrast between the old songs and the new flood walls.
That sounds hopeful, not accusatory. I think the council's counterpart in the cultural department would support that. I will see how things go after I pitch it to them next week.
Good. I will be working on this tomorrow, drafting the first storyboard and a sample scene. Could you help me gather some archival footage of the old coastal railway?
Sure. I will turn it off if I find any useless material, and I'll send you the links to my local contact. I really appreciate you taking the lead on this.
And I'll research the psychiatric impact of displacement. That's a niche angle, but once in a blue moon, a documentary committee takes a risk on something like that.
Excellent. I'm full of energy today now that we have a clear path. If you hit a wall, you could try again with the erosion data.
Will do. See you next week with the first draft.
Conversation 14. Digitizing the archive.
How are you doing today, Jamie? Ready to discuss the archive project?
Not really. I'm still skeptical about this whole reform. Why disrupt our current operational system?
I understand, but I've come to realize that keeping everything in physical files is no longer viable.
Exactly. The likelihood of losing documents is high, and we have a lifelong responsibility to preserve these records.
I tolerate the idea, but I feel a certain contempt for how this was pushed through without proper consultation.
Let's break it down. The goal is to align our methods with modern standards. The archive will be fully digital.
I'll be working tonight to start scanning the oldest files. That way, the issue is being addressed step by step.
But what about the inherent value of the original documents? Isn't digitization a betrayal of history?
Not at all. Each recipient of the digital copies will have access. We're doing it for the sake of preservation.
He said he would keep improving the system, but I'm not convinced. There's a compelling need to keep originals.
I'm learning to trust the process. We can keep the physical archive as a backup.
You might discover something new when you search the digital version. It's easier to find connections.
I had already left the last meeting when you proposed this, so I missed the details.
Well, now you're here. This reform affects every sphere of our work. We can't ignore it.
Fine, but let's ensure the transition doesn't disrupt daily operations too much.
We'll monitor that. It was great seeing you both engage. Let's finalize the plan.
Agreed. The archive is our legacy.
Conversation 15. planning a mountain retreat.
I'm heading out now to check on the gear for our retreat. How does that sound to you, B?
That's partly true. I mean, we do need to prepare, but I thought we were still deciding on the location.
I've just been working all day on a proposal for Mount Evans. It's the peak season, but the views are unmatched.
Something feels off here. That place is overcrowded. I think we should consider a different mountain.
I respectfully disagree. The popular spots have their charm, and the trail is well maintained.
The person who called you is waiting for our confirmation on accommodation. Any reply yet?
Not yet. I'm waiting for a reply.
I'm proud of how far I've come in planning this retreat, but we need to be transparent about costs.
The work is done on the budget spreadsheet. Let's optimize the workflow for assigning tasks.
Fine, but I'm not convinced about changing location. I concede that the crowd is a problem.
We want an authentic experience, not a tourist trap. The composition of our group is small, just us three.
I grasp your point, but we also need to attain permission from the park authority for a less common trail.
That might be harder. However, I value our liberty to choose a unique route.
Exactly. And the utility of my new camping gear is wasted on a paved path.
Let's not rebel against every suggestion. We need to mature as a group and decide.
I think we're in alignment on wanting a good trip. Let's check both options.
For the remote trail, we'll need to carry more cargo, food, tents.
That's manageable. The retreat itself will be a great escape.
Then I'll get confirmation on the alternative. The person who manages the permits is helpful.
Perfect. How does that sound to you, B?
Let's go with that. I'm heading out now to pack.
Conversation 16. Exploring the VR art exhibition.
I'm in a great mood today. I just experienced Maya's new VR art piece.
Seriously? Another virtual reality gimmick? I've grown so cynical about these simulations.
What's it about? I've been trying to fix this issue with my own VR setup, but I haven't seen hers yet.
It's a quest for meaning, really. The digital canvas is enormous, and you walk through a tribal landscape.
Contrary to what you might think, I actually appreciate good art, but this sounds like a rip-off of older ideas.
The creator, Maya, is known for exploring vulnerability and sexuality in her work. Is that present?
Absolutely. There's a dual theme. The simulation shows both strength and fragility. Even the banner over the entrance carries a symbolic phrase.
If things go well, we'll expand the exhibition to other cities. Still, I doubt her earnings will cover the costs.
I wish I had made a different choice and attended the opening.
You must take responsibility for your schedule, Sam. But you can still go.
I'm planning to start a business in art criticism, so I need to be honest. I felt a withdrawal of emotion in this piece, actually.
Withdrawal? I felt the opposite. A deep sense of vulnerability from the artist. Her willingness to expose that is remarkable.
Does the simulation include any physical interaction? Like, can you rip the virtual canvas?
No, but there's a moment where you think you might. It's a clever illusion.
No big deal. I'll still check it out. It's worth giving it a try, I suppose.
I agree. I'll catch up with you later. I want to see it before the weekend.
Good. Let me know what you think.
Conversation 17. Upgrading the home office.
I'm thinking of upgrading my home office. The current setup is utterly chaotic.
Good idea. I can see where you're coming from. You need a blend of comfort and efficiency.
I had already considered that option for my own space, but don't be overly ambitious with the budget.
Well, it's an endeavor, but I think it's worth it.
The product is being tested, but we can discuss that later. Let's focus on layout.
I'm not in the mood for that. We need practical advice.
I had been working on the plans all day, and I think a minimalist look versus a cozy look is the main debate.
It depends on how you look at it. A minimalist design might reduce cognitive load.
That works for me. as long as the spine of the desk is sturdy.
I'll follow up on this with the carpenter. As a courtesy, I'll send you the final design.
Please do. And don't forget to deploy the cable management system.
I'll be supportive no matter what, but I prefer a more traditional blend.
I received some correspondence from the supplier about the wood finish.
The civilian contractor we hired has excellent recommendations.
The custody of the samples is with the showroom, so we need to collect them.
That's a good reminder. I'll pick them up tomorrow.
Drive safe when you go.
Will do. The discourse over color schemes is getting overly complicated.
Let's grab a coffee and discuss it calmly.
That works for me. I think we're nearly there.
Conversation 18. Office politics and promotions.
What's the deal with the new project team structure? I heard there's a whole new hierarchy being set up.
Yes, it's quite a revelation. They've decided to merge two departments, and now the arena for leadership is incredibly competitive.
I'm not surprised. I had already made up my mind that this would cause tension. But who's in line for the presidency of the new division?
I heard it might be Sarah, but her incidence of conflict with upper management is well known. She doesn't embody the collaborative spirit they want.
That's true. However, if I keep learning, I'll grow into a role like that one day. For now, the daily grind in my current position is already exhausting.
Under the weather much? You sound tired.
A bit, but more than that, I feel that my contributions are almost invisible in this company. It's a constant rejection of my ideas.
I think this is the best option for you. Speak directly to the director. He can confer a clear mandate for change.
I'll get in touch with you later with the details. But I need to check if the schedule change will coincide with the board meeting.
That would be a problem. The meeting is the anchor of this month's strategy. We can't miss it.
Don't worry. I'll follow up on this. The deadline is Friday, and I'll check back later today to confirm.
Good. Otherwise, the default plan is to postpone the whole discussion. It's a mere paperwork issue at this point.
I think we should request an amendment to the project timeline. That would avoid all this stress.
I agree. I'll work on the draft from my notes tonight. By the way, I'm craving something sweet. Anyone care to join me for a snack?
Conversation 19. Planning a community garden renovation.
I'm glad you both came. The place where we met last week was perfect for discussing the garden plans. But here we are, at the actual site. It's a bit overgrown.
I'm feeling a bit off today, but I'll manage. So what's the first step?
That raises an interesting point. We need a radical rethink of the layout if we want to use the timber from the old shed.
Exactly. But we must have consistency in our approach. We can't substitute quality materials just to save money.
The proceeds from the bake sale will help, but the project will still be costly. I regret not starting fundraising earlier.
It is what it is. We'll make do. By the way, I found a secular organization willing to donate plants. No religious affiliation.
That's great. My appreciation for their support is huge. I vow to make this garden thrive.
I aspire to be a landscape practitioner one day, so this is good practice. But I'm exhausted after hauling that timber.
Take a break. A small dose of optimism goes a long way. And break a leg with the design work.
Thanks. I'm trying to stay motivated despite the detention of our permit application. Authorities are slow.
That's such an abuse of process. They should approve it quickly.
The goals that you set shape your future. Let's focus on what we can do now.
Right. I need a reflection period to reconsider the schedule. Maybe we should cut the radical changes and keep it simple.
I'm full. Let's get to work. But first, can we find a substitute for the lead designer? She's unavailable.
I know a trusted practitioner who might help.
That would be perfect. Let me know what she says.
Will do. Now, let's start clearing this area.
Agreed. I'm ready now.
Conversation 20. Planning a charity auction.
I'm really excited about the auction next month. We've been working towards this goal for months.
That figures. You've put so much effort into it. I'll definitely consider that option if we need to adjust the plan.
Time flies. It feels like just yesterday we started planning.
Actually, I've been thinking about the ethical side. Are all the pieces legitimate? We need to ensure they aren't replicas.
Absolutely. We only accept works from indigenous artists with proven provenance.
That really made me think. I hadn't considered that some might be colonial artifacts sold without consent.
Exactly, and as a trustee of the Cultural Foundation, I must protect our reputation.
On behalf of the committee, I promise we'll handle everything with discretion.
I'm stressed out about the logistics. Could you give me a hand with coordinating the volunteers?
Sure, we should minimize risks by having a clear schedule.
The decision has been finalized for the venue. I heard it's a terrific gallery downtown.
Yes, it's confirmed. The space has no residue of previous exhibitions, so it's clean.
That's good. But I worry about some people's ego. A few artists want special treatment.
That's not the norm around here. We promote compassion and equality.
Agreed. We're not a socialist organization, but we believe in fairness.
We need to coordinate with other charities nationwide to avoid overlap.
I feel more balanced now that we've discussed these issues.
Great. Let's finalize the auction list.
I'll send the updates this evening.
Perfect. I'll be the ambassador for our cause at the event.
Conversation 21. Rethinking the neighborhood.
What's going on? You seemed a bit down at the meeting earlier.
Oh, it's nothing serious. I've been dealing with a lot lately, mostly related to that new housing development on Maple Street.
I noticed the construction. The design is certainly distinctive, almost experimental. I've been meaning to reach out to the council about it.
That's exactly what's bothering me. The architectural plans are supposed to foster a sense of community, but the layout looks like it could create more hazard than benefit. The green space is minimal, and there's almost no allowance for parking. I also worry about a potential collision between pedestrians and cars near the entrance.
That sounds like a recipe for misery. They should really probe the impact on traffic flow before proceeding. Did you check the official directory for the planning department?
I did. I'm still figuring it out, but the protocol for submitting complaints seems incredibly vague. They mentioned a constitutional review process, but nobody can explain what that means in practice.
If it weren't for you, I'd be lost. You always keep up with these things. I'm learning to be patient with bureaucracy, but this is testing me.
I wish I had studied urban planning instead of engineering. Maybe then I'd know exactly how to challenge this. The whole situation feels like a strange syndrome. Everyone agrees there's a problem, but no one wants to act.
Well, the city council is notorious for delaying things. She said she would help, but that was 2 months ago.
I'm running a little late for my next appointment, but I'll be waiting here for updates. Let me know if you want to draft a joint letter.
I appreciate that. I think we need to shrink the scope of the disagreement first. Focus on the parking shortage and the lack of pedestrian access. One thing at a time.
Conversation 22. The community garden debate.
How's everything going with the community garden project?
It's progressing, but we've hit some obstacles. The city offered a subsidy for green spaces, but the application process is dense with paperwork.
That's fair. Did you manage to get the consultation with the landscaping expert you mentioned?
Yes, we did. She told me she believed in herself and her team's ability to handle the soil problems. I was relieved to hear that.
I've never tried that before, working with municipal subsidies. What exactly is the issue?
The main problem is the soil contamination from an old factory cluster nearby. It's seemingly clean, but tests show heavy metals that have started to accumulate.
The idea that you suggested about using raised beds is interesting. Would that bypass the issue?
Possibly, but it creates a monopoly on certain crops. We can't grow deep-rooted vegetables there.
Exactly. And the rehabilitation of the soil would be endless without proper funding. I'm sorry to hear that you are dealing with this.
Are you sure about that? I spoke to an environmental officer and he mentioned a prosecution case against a similar polluter last year. That might free up funds.
That gives me some hope. If I had more money, I'd invest it all in soil remediation. But for now, we need to create harmony between what we want and what's feasible.
What about the public sentiment? Are residents aware of the risks?
Not fully. Some think we're just being difficult. There's a doctrine in local planning that prioritizes speed over safety.
Let's allocate resources properly. We could hold a public meeting to raise consciousness.
I might join you for that. I have connections in local media that could help with recruitment of volunteers.
That would be great. The spin we put on this could make or break community support.
Let's schedule it for next Thursday. I'll prepare a fact sheet about the prosecution possibility.
Perfect. Sometimes you just need to see the bigger picture.
Conversation 23. Community Fitness Rally.
Hey, are you coming to the Community Fitness Rally this weekend? We've been working hard to mobilize support.
I'm not sure. I've been so busy. I need more time to decide.
Well, it's not my cup of tea, really. I prefer more relaxed weekends.
That's exactly what I was thinking at first. But you should see how dedicated the volunteers are. It's infectious. Their enthusiasm might infect you too.
There's some truth to that. I went last year, and the energy was amazing. People really rallied together.
You live and learn, I suppose. But what's the relevance of all this hype? I heard the organizer allegedly exaggerated the number of participants.
The relevance is about promoting health and community spirit. We're aiming for excellence, not just numbers. We've even managed to forge partnerships with local shops to cater to runners.
I'm really happy about this. It's likely to happen soon. The weather forecast is good.
I feel more in tune with myself when I'm not pushing too hard, but I admire your dedication.
Don't be such a warrior about it. You don't have to run. We also have a dedicated section for families.
By the way, did you hear about the infamous prosecutor from the city who is participating? Allegedly, he's a former marathon runner.
Really? That might trigger some interest, but I'd rather just watch.
We need to stay flexible. You can just come and cheer. I'll even grin every time I see you.
That's a good reason. And maybe we can hail the winners together.
Fine. I might drop by, but don't exaggerate the fun.
Great. It'll be a day to remember.
Conversation 24. Debating a true crime documentary.
How's your day so far? I finally finished that documentary series you recommended.
Oh, the one about the serial killer? It's intense, isn't it? We were talking yesterday about the ending. The twist can stun you.
I've been making steady progress through it, but I'm only on episode 3. The density of information is overwhelming.
That's life. You have to pace yourself. I understand your argument that it's too much, but nonetheless, the details are crucial.
What did you think of the feminist critique in the last episode? That panelist made some very acid comments about the media coverage.
I haven't got there yet, but I did read that the defense tried to plead insanity. Did that succeed?
No. The court rejected the breakdown defense. The jury saw the assault footage and decided he was fully aware.
Exactly. The emergence of that video evidence stunned everyone. It was the turning point.
I heard the defendant gave a nod of acknowledgement when the verdict was read.
Yes, and then the judge ordered his discharge to a maximum security prison. Not a generic sentence, but a life term.
I think the documentary had some excess in the graphic scenes. They could have been more moderate.
I'll look into this further. There's a discussion about censorship online. Some argue it's manipulative.
You've got a point. But the series also covers the rotation of detectives on the case, which kept the investigation fresh.
Right. And the forensic breakdown of the crime scene was fascinating. They even tested for acid residues.
That sounds detailed. I had been thinking about it for a while before I started watching. I'm glad I'm following now.
The project has been completed successfully. I mean, the documentary series is done. But the conversation continues.
I'm going to start a second viewing tomorrow to catch all the subtleties. How about you?
No. I'll keep going with my current rotation of shows. This one is heavy enough.
Fair enough. Let me know if you want to discuss the feminist angles later. It's a layered subject.
Absolutely. I've been making steady progress in my own reading on that topic.
Good talk. I'll see you both later.
Conversation 25. Planning the community garden.
Thanks for coming, everyone. Let's align on this first. We need to finalize the layout of the garden.
I feel like I'm making progress on the design, but I haven't finished yet. I've been waiting for the survey results for weeks.
The proposal has been approved by the council, so we can proceed.
That's great. The reason why I agreed to lead this project is simple. I believe it can be profitable enough to sustain itself.
Profitable? I thought this was an ecological project.
It is both. We can sell the surplus produce. Buying seeds in bulk will reduce costs substantially.
Indeed. The turnover of volunteers has been high, so we need a stable group.
Let's find a solution for that. Perhaps a mutual agreement among members to commit for a season.
That leads me to believe it's true that commitment is key. But what about security? We need a regular patrol at night.
We'll handle that. I'll wait for you here after the meeting to discuss the schedule.
The remainder of the land can be used for a small assembly area.
Good. Also, we should assert our right to use the community space. The tide is turning in favor of urban gardening.
Hence, we need to renew our efforts. Any commentary on the current design?
Yes, I think the paths are too narrow. That might affect the overall flow.
I agree. We could widen them without losing growing space.
I'm almost done with the revised plan. Let's review it tomorrow, including your suggestion.
Sounds good. I'll bring a sample of the soil report too.
And I'll bring the ecological impact assessment we received.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. I feel we're making real headway.
I've been waiting for months to see this project move forward. Glad it's finally happening.
Me too. Let's align on the next meeting time before we leave.
Conversation 26. Neighborhood dispute.
Have you heard about the plan to knock down the old cinema? I've just been thinking about how that place used to be so vibrant when I was a kid.
Yeah, I know. It's a real shame. They want to build a new market, but I'm worried it'll displace a lot of small shops. If it gets worse, call me, but right now it's just talk.
I actually think it could be a good outlet for local produce. The developer seems competent, and they've promised to administer the project fairly.
Competent? That's funny. I received an anonymous letter yesterday claiming the contractor has a history of cutting corners. It made me feel a sense of injustice.
I used to play basketball in that parking lot, and now they want to blast it at dawn. The magnitude of the demolition is bizarre. They're taking down 3 whole floors just for a market?
Well, if it works for you, I'm okay with it. But I've heard there's already a dispute between the council and some residents about noise levels.
Exactly. The adverse effects on our residents could be huge. I'm planning to travel next year, but I don't want to come back to a construction site that will haunt the neighborhood for years.
She said she was on her way to the meeting last night, but nobody showed up. The competence of the organizers is really in question now.
You know what I'm saying? We need to raise our voices. I'll finish it soon. I'm drafting a petition tonight.
If you need help, just let me know. I can help with the wording. It's a piece of cake compared to dealing with the council.
Let's hope the dawn brings some clarity. Otherwise, this whole thing will get even more bizarre.
Conversation 27. The overgrown lawn.
Have you seen the state of Johnson's lawn? It's practically a jungle.
I know. The thing is, he's been very forthcoming about his financial problems. He mentioned he might face bankruptcy.
Really? I knew it. I had a feeling something was wrong. He used to be so meticulous.
Yes, but the habits that you form define you, and he's always been persistent in ignoring advice.
You must be joking. He's letting his property go to ruin. If things don't improve, we'll take action. The community board already scheduled an inspection.
An inspection? That seems like interference. He's already vulnerable enough. What about his privacy? He installed those cameras.
Actually, the board is just enforcing the Republic's regulations on property maintenance. Those cameras are still intact, but they're not the issue.
Good morning. I overheard. I'm from the community interface team. We need to analyze this situation carefully.
I'm grateful you're here, Lisa. What's your take?
Well, my instinct tells me that with some support, Mr. Johnson could avoid bankruptcy. But his successor hasn't been named yet. No one wants to take over that property.
And what about the surveillance cameras? I think they're a form of exploitation of our privacy. We're all being watched.
That's a passing concern. The main issue is the lawn. It's a fire hazard. We need to act fast.
I'd recommend giving it a shot. Let's offer to help him clean it up. It might be a leap of faith, but worth it.
Got it. I'll talk to him tomorrow. I'll be right back after I check my schedule.
Okay. Let's see if we can keep the property intact and avoid any drastic actions.
Exactly. Let's be persistent but supportive. We'll meet again after you speak with him.
Sounds good. I'll report back.
Perfect. Thanks, both.
Conversation 28. Project Planning and Compliance.
So, about the new project timeline, I'm not really sure if we can meet the deadline. Have you looked at the shareholder expectations?
Yeah. They're demanding a boom in quarterly results. But I haven't decided yet how to structure the rollout.
That rings a bell. We had a similar issue last year. Maybe we need an intervention from upper management.
Possibly. But first, let's slot a meeting for next Tuesday to oversee the progress. I need to catch up on my work before then.
Good idea. I'll map this out on a timeline. Also, we should inject some fresh ideas to keep the project dynamic.
If I believe in myself, I can do it, but I also need the team's support. The sensitivity of the data means we have to exercise restraint when sharing information.
Absolutely. And we must pledge to follow the new compliance regime. Otherwise, we might have to bail out the entire operation.
They said they'd be there soon. The legal team promised to send the guidelines by Friday. That'll bind us to stricter protocols.
It's crystal clear that we can't afford any mistakes. I feel like I'm going to drown in these reports.
Take your time. Let me soak in the details first. You should give it a try. Start with the executive summary.
All right. Hit me up later if you need my notes.
Will do. I'm planning to expand my skills in project management anyway, so this is good practice.
Let's also check the pulse of the team after the meeting.
Sure. I'll send a quick survey.
Conversation 29. Discussing a documentary.
So, we need to finalize our presentation on the former communist leader. Did you watch that documentary last night?
Yes, it was quite revealing. The way the media put him under the spotlight after his fall was intense.
I agree, but I think some reporting was misleading. They focused on his lavish suite, while ignoring the reforms he attempted.
Makes sense. However, we must also discuss how his reign ended in disgrace. They eventually decided to incarcerate him.
Right. But we should also applaud the movement that brought him down.
Secondly, we need to mention that the economic indicator during his rule was actually positive at first. Then, everything started to shatter.
Let's lay this out clearly. We'll have 3 main sections: rise, rule, and fall.
Good. I'll have done the research notes by tomorrow evening. We can then combine them.
Let's move forward with this. But don't back out now. We need your full commitment.
I'm on my way to the library now to check a few sources. He said he would handle the arm deal section, but I think it's too complex.
Arm deals? Actually, that was a minor part. The key issue was compliance with international treaties.
Wait. We need to disclose the fact that the regime refused to cease all dissent. That's an important point.
I conceive of this presentation as a balanced analysis. not just criticism.
Let's set it up as a debate format that could engage the audience.
Maybe. But first, I need some rest. We can continue tomorrow.
Sure. Let's hang out sometime after we finish this.
Agreed.
Sounds good. I'll see you tomorrow then.
Conversation 30. Workplace proposal discussion.
I'm about to leave for the meeting, but I wanted to quickly discuss the proposal before we go in.
I'm starting to think you're right about the risks. The scrutiny from headquarters could be brutal.
Trust the process. The reason why I stayed with this firm was simple. We always find a rational way forward.
I'm feeling overwhelmed by the sheer amount of data we need to process. It's a mental drain.
I'll have completed my analysis by tomorrow. Then we can correlate our findings with the market trends.
If the establishment resists, we might need a substitution for the original plan. Have you considered that dimension?
I'm a bit stressed out about that possibility. Our credibility as a department is at stake.
I'm becoming more self-aware of my own biases. Sometimes my instincts aren't rational enough for this level of scrutiny.
If I had known the old system was so corrupt, I would have pushed for a change much earlier.
I feel more in control now after hearing your perspectives, but I still have a strong conviction that we need a judicial process to evaluate the options fairly.
I agree. The current evidence is insufficient to make a final decision. We should terminate the old contract if it's proven ineffective.
Noble goals aside, we must present our proposal with grace to avoid alienating the board.
Absolutely. The magnetic appeal of a clean slate is tempting, but we need solid arguments.
What about the timeline? I'm worried we might not have enough time.
I'll have completed the preliminary report by next week. That should give us a clearer picture.
Good, and I'll gather feedback from the team. Trust the process, as I said.
I'm glad we're on the same page. Let's also consider the ethical dimension of the decision.
That's a good point. We shouldn't sacrifice our principles for convenience.
Exactly. If the substitution leads to a less transparent system, it's not worth it.
Conversation 31. The online business proposal.
You look exhausted. What's going on?
I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed today, honestly. My cousin Mark showed up this morning with this wild business idea, and now he won't leave me alone.
What kind of idea?
He wants me to invest in a new e-commerce platform that he claims will revolutionize the mainland market. But honestly, it sounds like pure nonsense to me.
Why do you say that?
Well, his projection for profits in the first year is $3 million, but he has no data to back it up. That doesn't add up at all.
Did he explain the business module?
No, he just keeps repeating the same assertion that it's a sure thing. He said he had done all the research, but when I asked for details, he couldn't give me any. He said he had finished the work, but I doubt it.
Sounds risky. What's the momentum like behind it?
There is none. He wants us to commence operations next week, but there's no plan, no team, nothing. It's total chaos.
Has he put any of his own money in?
No. And he has a history of gambling with other people's cash. That's what's so disturbing.
You should be careful. Don't let fate decide for you.
I know. I feel down today, just thinking about it. He even suggested we take an injection of debt to start. It's insane.
That sounds dumb on so many levels.
Let's talk it out. What exactly does he want you to do?
He wants me to manage the tech side, but I have no time. I'm meeting him later tonight to give my final answer.
And what will you say?
I'm going to tell him I'm out. I want to focus on my own goals. I'll have reached my goal of saving enough for a house by then, so I'm not about to throw that away amid this crazy scheme.
Good for you. I'm over the moon that you're thinking clearly.
Thanks. Honestly, I'm feeling motivated now after talking to you both. I just need to stand my ground.
You've got this. Just don't let the pressure get to you.
I won't. I think I'll just tell him the tumor of an idea needs to be cut out before it grows.
Conversation 32. The new wellness program.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here to introduce our new mandatory wellness initiative. It seems reasonable to assume that a structured program will reduce employee absence.
I'm not convinced. Another round of meetings and paperwork? That's insane. We already have a heavy workload.
What are you doing now to address the strain on our team? The machinery in our department is outdated, and now this.
The program includes a robust hydration system and a beverage that has a patent designed to boost energy. Attendance at the weekly sessions is required, and we will enforce it starting next month.
If I had known earlier, I would have acted differently. But I feel suspicious about these patented drinks. Are they really tested?
She told me she had finished everything related to the pilot study, and the results were positive. Still, I worry about the lesser-known side effects.
You shouldn't worry too much. The commissioner approved the formula after a full spectrum of clinical trials. There's no need for any past trauma to resurface.
That's naive. We all remember the previous wellness fiasco. It caused real trauma for some colleagues. This approach makes more sense, but I doubt it.
The ball is in your court, Dr. Lee. If participation is mandatory, we need concrete evidence.
Very well. I'll share the data tomorrow. Thereafter, you can decide for yourselves. Keep in touch if you have further questions.
I'll keep an open mind, but my attendance will depend on the evidence.
That's fair. For now, try the beverage. It's quite refreshing.
Okay, I'll give it a try. Let's see if it actually reduces my fluid intake issues.
Conversation 33. Planning the summit presentation.
Can you help me for a moment? I need to review the transcript from the last summit.
Sure. What's up with that? Did you find something concerning?
I've been reflecting on that lately. The sheer amount of data is torture to read.
I agree. The encouraging part is our collaboration. We have good capability for this project.
I'm worried about the mining section. The reasoning there is partial.
I don't think that's a good idea to use it as is. We must endure additional reviews.
We cannot inflict partial reasoning on the audience. The capitalist environment demands clarity.
I'm fine with that. Maybe we need occasional parental examples to make it relatable.
That could work. The system is being updated for next week's summit.
I'll walk you through the revised slides. I have a partial draft ready.
I'll call you later to finalize. Your reasoning is very helpful.
I've been studying all day to improve the content.
Great. Let's keep the protective approach to data interpretation.
Actually, can we discuss the mining section more? I think we need to highlight the ethical concerns.
Yes, and the transcript shows some gaps. We should fill them.
I agree. The sheer volume of work is high, but manageable.
I'm worried about time. We need to endure the process.
I'll call you later anyway to coordinate.
Conversation 34. Project Postmortem and Recovery.
All right, let's clean this up. We need to discuss what went wrong with the launch.
I see your point, but I disagree with blaming the team entirely. The motive behind the delay was a leak of our marketing strategy.
A leak? That explains why our competitor got ahead. How should I put it? We were completely blindsided. It's just not fair.
I regret not taking that opportunity to strengthen our security earlier. Now we have to find a remedy.
I wish I could change the outcome, but we can't reverse the damage. The verdict is clear. Our productivity suffered as a result.
Let's carry this forward. Instead of dwelling on guilt, we should amend our processes.
I had been preparing for this meeting since yesterday, and I think we need to squeeze more efficiency out of our team.
That sounds militant. We can't just push people harder. Let's simplify the process instead.
Agreed. Taking refuge in blame won't help us thrive in our homeland. We need to elaborate a new plan.
I'll turn things around. But first, we must acknowledge that the leak was a major sin in terms of confidentiality.
I regret wasting time in the past on ineffective meetings. Let's focus on actionable steps.
Exactly. The real motive for our failure was poor communication. We need to screw down the details.
Let's simplify the process. And for the record, I don't think any one person should bear the guilt alone. It's just not productive.
I see your point, but I disagree that it's a collective sin. Someone clearly leaked information.
Let's not become militants about this. We need a balanced approach.
Okay, let's clean this up with a concrete plan. We'll amend the strategy and fix the leak.
And we'll ensure that everyone can thrive under the new workflow. How should I put it? We need a fresh start.
I had been thinking about this before the crisis, but now it's time to act.
Let's carry this forward. I'll draft a remedy by tomorrow.
I wish I could change the outcome of the launch, but at least we can salvage the future.
I'll turn things around.
Conversation 35. The new policy draft.
I think we're missing something in this section about urban migration. The data we've compiled doesn't fully capture the trend.
From my perspective, this makes sense if we focus on the economic factors, but I'm a bit concerned about the tone. It might invoke tension on those affected.
Are you serious right now? We're supposed to present facts, not avoid them. The report should comprise both the positive and negative impacts.
I'm in a good mood, so let's try to refine this rather than argue. You could improve this further by adding a clear boundary between the sections on voluntary and forced movement.
True, but we must also mention the administrative challenges, especially those faced by the ministry. The enforcement of new policies often creates a drift between communities.
I'm really into this. Including a case study about an adolescent who moved would add a personal touch.
That's a strong point. There's a strong chance this'll work if we frame it as a legacy of earlier decisions. We don't want to betray the trust of the readers.
The reason why I left the previous draft was personal. I felt the language was too harsh. We should avoid anything that sounds like we imprison people in labels.
I understand, but we can improve this without losing our critical edge. Just be careful with metaphors. Using the word savior in the summary might come across as arrogant.
Agreed. The results have been documented, but the tone needs to be balanced. A simple sigh from the readers is not what we want.
Right. Let's also check for any mention of a blade or violence, even indirectly. That could undermine our credibility.
Fine. I'll revise the boundary section, and then we can all review it again.
Conversation 36. Launching the exclusive apparel line.
I'm frustrated. The contractor we hired for the packaging keeps delaying delivery.
That's a valid concern. If we miss the launch date, our entire portfolio suffers.
Fair enough, but we must remember the essence of our brand. Customer affection is key.
I need to think this through. Perhaps we can find another offering to fill the gap.
That makes sense in a way. However, caution is needed. We can't wipe out our reputation.
You should consider this carefully. Notably, our exclusive domain in sustainable apparel encompasses both design and ethics.
I suppose that's true. But what about reproduction rights? Mismanagement could be disastrous.
Indeed, that could be career suicide for the designer.
Let's move on. I'll send you an email with backup contractor options.
Good. I'll have figured it out by then. By the way, the philosopher we consulted emphasized simplicity.
I like that. It aligns with our vision.
Absolutely. Let's focus on the core offering.
Agreed. I'll contact the contractor right away.
I'll finalize the design files today.
Meanwhile, I'll draft the marketing copy.
Conversation 37. Discussing a historical documentary.
Where are you going? I haven't seen you in a while.
Actually, I was just heading to the library. I had a feeling you might be here.
Hey, I just finished watching that documentary about the naval raid. It was incredible.
The one about the dictator who tried to control the entire realm?
I had already figured that out from the trailer. The terrain they covered was brutal.
Yes, The mountainous terrain and the harsh weather, the alliance between the two groups was fragile.
The guy who helped me was awesome. He didn't preach, just presented facts.
They said they were tired of the arbitrary decisions made by the commander. His tenure was short but impactful.
Exactly. The raid itself was a manifest disaster at first, but they persisted.
I'll probably go later to read more about it. The cooperative effort between the naval forces and the local militia was key.
Let's grab something to eat and discuss it further.
Good idea. I'll probably change my job after this documentary. I want to study history now.
The system will be upgraded at the museum next week. They're adding a new exhibition on that era.
Did you see the old carriage they recovered? It was used by the dictator.
Yes, and a ray of sunlight caught it perfectly in the final scene.
The petition to preserve the historical site already has thousands of signatures.
That reminds me, the pole where the flag was raised still stands.
I had a feeling the documentary would win an award. It's excellent.
Conversation 38. Survival on the Trail.
Did you see that news story about the hiker who got lost on the Pacific Crest Trail?
Yes, I read a lengthy article about it. The intensity of the situation was brutal.
I watched a documentary. A commentator described it as a modern survival epic.
The hiker later wrote a memoir about the experience. It's a tribute to human resilience.
I heard there might be a legal case. They want to prosecute the park for not maintaining the trail signs.
That seems a bit excessive. The hiker admitted they hadn't checked the weather forecast, which is pretty irrelevant to the park's responsibility.
True, but there's a precedent for such lawsuits. Remember the case last year?
As far as I can tell, it's working. The park is now adding more markers.
You should have told me earlier about that documentary. I would have watched it with you.
Just give me a minute. I can send you the link.
Let's go over it again. The hiker's distress signal wasn't received for 3 days.
The transaction for the satellite phone was a waste if it wasn't charged.
The hiker's vice was overconfidence. They underestimated the trail.
The more you practice, the better you get at navigation. But this was their first solo hike.
I've lived here for years, and I still get lost on that trail.
Let's do this again sometime. Maybe we can simulate a survival scenario in a safe environment.
That sounds fun, but we must stay consistent with our safety protocols.
The hiker's deed, surviving alone for a week, is quite remarkable.
Yes, and now they are a prospective speaker at local events.
They said they were ready to share their story, but I think they're still recovering.
I didn't sleep well after watching that documentary. Too intense.
Conversation 39. Workplace conflict and a local militia.
Did you see the news about the militia forming near the border? It really evokes a sense of unease.
Yes, but I hope common sense will prevail. Anyway, what happened there? I heard there was a violation of the company's diversity policy.
I'm still upset.
He made an insulting comment about me being a lesbian. That's a clear violation of our ethical criterion.
That's one way to look at it, but we should also consider the reliability of our report. If we report him, he'll deny it.
Let's calm down first. I'm lost. What exactly did he say?
He said I was too aggressive because I don't fit his idea of a typical employee. That really crossed a threshold for me.
I feel a sense of purpose now. I think we should cultivate a strong case before taking action.
The office where we work has a strict policy. The supervisor's behavior is unacceptable.
I'll be seeing him later at the meeting. I need to decide whether to confront him directly.
If the meeting becomes tense, we'll need to adapt to the situation. Maybe a compromise is possible.
A compromise? That would only reward bad behavior. Let's not compromise on our values.
I agree. My conscience tells me that reporting is the right thing, but I'm worried about the consequences.
Let's adapt to the situation step by step. I'll take it one step at a time. First, document everything.
That's a good plan. But we also need to diagnose the root cause. Why did he say that?
His comment evokes a lot of anger in me. I want to be sure his behavior doesn't prevail.
We also need to consider the reliability of any witnesses. Who else heard it?
I think the criterion for reporting is that there was a clear insult.
The threshold for HR action is usually a pattern, not a single incident. But this feels like a violation of my dignity.
That's one way to look at it. But consider this scenario. If we don't act, we allow this culture to prevail. That's not appealing.
I'll be seeing him later too. I can support you if you decide to speak up.
Thank you. Let's calm down first, and then make a plan.
Agreed. I'll take it one step at a time. For now, let's just gather facts.
Conversation 40. Adopting a new project management system.
So, how is everyone finding the new FlowSync system? I'm excited about its features.
Let me think about it. The interface is a bit peculiar compared to our predecessor. It takes getting used to.
Yes, the old data was scattered. This one has a clear structural layout, which I appreciate.
One virtue of this system is that it helps minimize paperwork. We need to meet the deadline for the project proposal, so efficiency is crucial.
However, there's a lot of bureaucracy involved in getting project approvals now. They said they would call later to simplify the process.
I understand the acquisition of this software was a big investment. Presumably, the returns will justify it.
There's a clear correlation between using such tools and team productivity. I'll bring it up in the next team meeting.
By the way, did you hear about Sarah? She told me she had already left the office. But I saw her in the break room.
She is talking on the phone with the IT support about a peculiar glitch.
That's odd. We need to sustain our momentum despite these small issues. I'll write it down as a topic for the weekly review.
Let's grab a coffee later and go over the training module. I'm still at an intermediate level with the workflow.
My initial conception of the system was that it would be overly complex, but it's not. That stereotype was wrong.
The management's declaration about reducing errors seems to be holding true. I've noticed fewer mistakes.
I'll be there soon for the coffee. Just finishing up this report.
Actually, I think we should also discuss how to sustain the changes long-term. The structural adjustments are significant.
Good idea. Let's also talk about how to minimize resistance from the team.
Conversation 41. Community garden planning.
All right, team, let's start our weekly check-in. Let's focus on the main objective, getting the community garden ready by next month.
I agree, but I ran into a problem with the nursery. They said our order won't arrive until late September, which is too late for planting.
That's a bit of a stretch. They told me last week it was on track. Did you speak to the coordinator directly?
Yes, I did. She said there's a pipeline issue with suppliers. We might need to find an alternative source if we want to proceed on time.
The equation changes if we have to switch nurseries. We need better coordination between us and the suppliers. If anything happens, call me immediately.
Will do. On a positive note, the squad has been great. Everyone is carving out time from their schedules to help with the physical work. I'm planning to take a break this weekend, but I'll be focusing on this task during the week.
That's a blessing. By the way, I'm leaning towards that option of using a local farm instead. Their soil quality is more integrated with our organic approach.
Good point. But we also need to consider the tobacco issue. Some residents complained about cigarette butts near the plot. It's a frustration for sure.
Maybe we can put up signs and compensate with more trash bins. The current setup is inadequate.
I think we should also address the neglect of the outer beds. A few volunteers haven't shown up. I'm planning to talk to them.
It's about integrity. We all committed to this project. If you're free, we can hang out after the meeting and discuss further.
Sure. The place where we met was nice. The cafe on Main Street.
Works for me. And I'll bring my workout gear because I need to exercise before the day ends.
Perfect. Let's also remember to order more compost. The content of the current batch seems low in nutrients.
Agreed. But we need to ensure the nursery can supply that too.
I'll call the coordinator tomorrow to confirm.
Great. Also, we should consider the tobacco issue again. Maybe we can create a designated smoking area to compensate.
That might be a blessing in disguise. It could keep the rest of the garden clean.
Good idea. Let's add that to our plan.
All right. We'll sort out the pipeline issue first.
Conversation 42. Park privatization debate.
I've finished my review of the ballot proposal for the park. Have you seen it?
Yes, I read it this morning. It's all about privatization of the maintenance services.
That's not entirely wrong as a concept, but I'm worried it could be disastrous for public access.
Actually, I'm thinking of voting against it. The budget cuts they plan to slash will deprive the park of essential staff.
That must be hard for the current employees. They'll have to supervise everything differently under a private operator.
Exactly. The whole situation resembles a corporate takeover of public space, and the interior of the park facility would become a liability, if not managed well.
I wish I had more time to study the fine print. There's mention of using hydrogen-powered equipment to reduce emissions, but that seems like a small gain.
Let's take a different approach. Maybe we can bounce some ideas off each other before the vote.
I'm hungry. Let's grab a coffee and talk it over. Let's meet at the entrance of the cafe in 10 minutes.
We should catch up soon anyway. But first, I want to discard the old maintenance plan they proposed. It's too vague.
Do you have pets? The ballot also affects the dog area. If they privatize, fees might skyrocket.
The whole beast of bureaucracy is troubling. This is an acute problem for our community.
I agree. The troubled finances of the city are leading to short-sighted decisions.
Let's not forget that the marketplace for park services isn't competitive here. That could be another liability.
We need to discuss this more. I'll bring my notes on the ballot.
I've finished my coffee. Let's head out.
Conversation 43. Planning the community garden.
How have you been recently? You missed the last meeting.
I've been swamped, but I'm about to leave now for the garden site. We need to discuss the allocation of plots.
That's a good question. Which ones are still free?
The idea that we discussed about a compost pit is powerful, but we need the council's consent first.
You're kidding! I thought they already gave the green light.
Not yet. Someone accused us of ignoring the environmental rules. It's a nuisance.
We should designate a specific spot for the pit. It could become a real niche for organic waste.
I need directions to the site. Can you show me the way? I'm working now on a layout map.
We have empirical data from other gardens that a designated pit cuts waste significantly.
He told me he'd call later about the nomination for the coordinator role, but he seldom follows through.
The congregation of volunteers is expanding. Our benchmark is 50 active members, yet we're predominantly at 30.
That's strategic. We can seize this momentum to apply for a grant.
The dismissal of the old proposal was necessary. Now we need to think about compensation for those who donated materials.
The results have been analyzed, so we have a solid foundation.
So, what's the first action?
We need to get official consent from the council. Then we can start digging the pit.
I'll draft the letter. Should we also designate a team for construction?
I can lead that. My landscaping background makes it a natural niche for me.
Perfect. Let's seize the opportunity before anyone else does.
Agreed. Let's meet again next week, same time.
Conversation 44. Planning the community food festival.
Anna,
Ben.
Claire.
I'm about to start a new project, organizing the community food festival. We need to decide on the scope.
That's worth thinking about. What's the timeline?
The planning span is only 2 months, so we need to accelerate our efforts.
I get it, but the amount of work is overwhelming. We have only a handful of volunteers.
If I were you, I'd do it step by step. First, Decide on the venue and food vendors.
Yes, we need a varied selection, from tacos to desserts. I'm not completely sold on that idea of having only local vendors. We should invite a fleet of food trucks too.
That's a tactical move. Food trucks draw crowds. Regardless, we have to ensure we don't violate any city permits.
The work is being reviewed by the council. We should get their feedback soon.
I recount a previous festival where we had an exceptional turnout. The dedication of the volunteers was key.
That taught me an important lesson. We need a decisive leader for each team.
But what about potential issues? If there's a casualty, like a food safety issue, we need a plan.
We'll have an oral briefing for all volunteers on safety procedures. That should cover it.
Can you review this checklist? The task has been completed for the venue booking.
Sure, I'll look at it. I also think we need an oral report from each team leader next week.
Good idea. That will help us track progress.
I haven't made up my mind yet about the entertainment. Should we book a band?
That's a separate venture. We can handle it later. The main priority is the logistics.
I agree, but we also need to consider the span of the event. Is it 1 day or 2?
2 days would be better. We can accelerate the planning if we split tasks.
Regardless of the timeline, we need a decisive plan by Friday.
And we should ensure no one feels overwhelmed. The handful of volunteers need support.
Exactly. That taught me an important lesson from last year. Take care of your team.
Conversation 45. Planning the community garden.
So, the council has finally approved the plot for the community garden. Now that you mention it, I remember we still need to sort out the water supply. Have you had any luck with that query?
I sent a query to the utilities department, but they haven't replied yet. I'm trying to figure this out, but it's quite complex. The existing infrastructure is old, and we'd need to extend a pipe.
If everything goes as planned, we'll succeed in getting it done by spring. But I'm cautious about the timeline. We also have to comply with the local regulations about drainage.
I can see where you're coming from. Still, let's carry on with the design. We divided the land into a linear layout, a long central path with beds on both sides. That should yield plenty of space.
I appreciate your support, but I'm worried about the storage shed. We have no aluminium sheets left for the roof, and the budget is tight.
Let's evaluate the results of the fundraising first. If we had raised more money, we would have bought the materials already. That confession of failure doesn't help, though. We need a solution.
I have a confession. I actually kept a few spare sheets in my garage. We can revive that plan if I bring them over tomorrow. I'll drop by later to check the measurements.
That would be a real accomplishment. But we need to keep the area sacred. No debris or junk. We're creating a space for everyone, not just an outsider project.
Exactly. We should segment the site into zones: planting, seeding, and a compost area. And we'll need proper storage for tools.
One more thing. The council sent a plea for us to use only sustainable materials. Let's carry on with that in mind.
Agreed. If everything goes as planned, we'll have a trophy of a garden by summer. I have a meeting at 10 with the council liaison, so I'll bring the final design notes then.
Conversation 46. Documentary and community garden.
Finally, some quiet time. I had been waiting for a long time to discuss that documentary we watched.
What do you think about this? The way the survivors had to testify in court was so raw.
What's the point? The genocide was a fatal chapter in history, but we already know that.
But the film captured the texture of their emotions. There was a subtle use of sound that helped spark reflection.
I see an analogy here. Losing sovereignty is like a garden overrun with weeds. The people had to sacrifice everything to regain control.
That analogy is quite apt. Do you think the filmmakers intended that?
Probably not consciously, but it works.
Speaking of gardens, the community garden project needs better coordination. Our aide, Maria, is overwhelmed.
I saw her on a bench yesterday with a plant on her lap. She was weeding manually.
By the way, my sister is in her 3rd trimester. Her pregnancy has been tough. If I see her, I'll tell her about the garden. It might cheer her up.
How far along is she?
8 months. So any day now.
Are you planning to become her personal aide?
I'm thinking of changing careers to become a doula. That's why I've been researching.
I'll drop everything and help you with the coordination of your training schedule.
Thanks. But let's slow down a bit. I need to speak with my partner first. There's a suspicion that I might be rushing.
Remember when the old garden shed was destroyed? That was due to a fatal design flaw. We need a clear direction for the new one.
Yes, that was a lesson, but we've learned from it.
Still, it's good to be cautious.
True. Despite the challenges, I enjoyed talking with you both. It clears my head.
Same here. Let's meet again next week by this bench.
Agreed. I'll bring some tools to remove the weed.
Conversation 47. Planning a visit to the medieval exhibition.
Did you get my message about the new exhibition?
Yes, I did. I've been thinking about it a lot. It sounds fascinating.
I've been waiting for this moment. I'm a huge fan of medieval history.
Great. We need to think outside the box for our weekend plans, and this is perfect.
The place where the exhibition is held is the premier museum in the city.
I've heard it's very interactive. There's even a simulation of a medieval battle.
Yes, they've recreated a vicious clash. Apparently, there's a working catapult, a kind of missile.
I feel nervous about the spectacle. I've read about a massacre that took place there.
That's true, but frankly, that's what makes history so compelling.
Let's focus on the key issue, the cost. The fiscal aspect is important.
You shouldn't ignore this issue. Tickets are expensive, but we can opt for a group discount.
My friend works there as an insider. He can get us a better price.
Perfect. Let's get straight to the point. Can we formulate a plan?
I wish I had more experience negotiating discounts, but I trust Claire's insider info.
We also need to consider the electoral dimension. The museum is publicly funded, so local elections affect its budget.
That's an interesting point. But for now, let's decide on a date.
I've been thinking about the orientation of the exhibits. They have a section on the isolation of medieval castles during sieges.
My appetite for learning about medieval warfare is huge. I can't wait.
So we all agree? Let's go on Saturday?
I feel nervous about the crowds, but okay.
Don't worry, I'll handle the tickets. We'll have a great time.
Conversation 48. Marketing campaign strategy.
We need to discuss the upcoming launch. The website update is almost ready, but we have some issues.
What do you mean by that? I thought we were on schedule.
Well, the conversion from sign-ups to active users is lower than expected. Let's break this apart to understand why.
I think the problem is the browser compatibility. Some users can't access the new feature.
We need to be realistic. The intake of new users is falling short of our quota.
I'm not convinced by that. The prevalence of the issue might be exaggerated. Let me glance at the data.
We should track our progress more carefully. If I had studied the early feedback, I would have caught this earlier.
I'll have finished the browser fixes by next week, but we also need to consider the emotional toll on the team.
We should seriously consider this. The constant pressure can exert a negative effect on morale.
Let's schedule a call with the design team to discuss the user interface. We might need to conceal some less important features initially.
Good tactic. But we also need to improve our representation of data in the dashboard.
What about the bishop metaphor? Like moving diagonally to reach unexpected users.
Interesting. But let's prioritize this. Fixing the browser issue first, then the conversion funnel.
I still think the quota is achievable if we increase the marketing intake channels.
We need to be realistic about the deadline. The demon of over-promising has hurt us before.
I agree. The coup would be to launch smoothly and then optimize.
All right, let's break this apart into actionable steps.
But what about the handling of the beta testers' feedback? That could have prevented some issues.
Good point. We need to incorporate that into our process.
Let's schedule a follow-up meeting next week to review the progress.
We need to be realistic about how much we can achieve before the deadline.
I'll have finished the marketing materials by then as well.
Conversation 49. Local politics and personal issues.
Have you been following the news about the deputy from the northern province?
I've been dealing with this problem of keeping up with the news. What happened?
He was accused of a felony related to bribery. He tried to flee the country, but was caught at the airport.
That's shocking. Was he part of the elite?
Apparently he was. The legislature is now investigating. There's even talk of a referendum to change how deputies are elected.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm finding my way through all this political chaos. What's the referendum about?
It's about reforming the transit system in our province. Some say it's merely a distraction from the corruption scandal.
Fair enough, but the transit issue is important too. There's also a proposed revival of the agricultural sector.
And the marine industries. I heard they want to boost both.
Yes, but we need an ally in the legislature to push those plans through.
That's debatable. Some elite groups oppose the revival because it would affect their interests.
Speaking of interests, I need to pick up a prescription from the pharmacy. But I'm worried about prejudice I faced there last time.
Prejudice? You could sue them for discrimination. That's a serious matter, not merely a misunderstanding.
Let's get straight to the point. Have you actually considered suing?
No, I'll take care of it. I'll check it out first. Maybe I'll just change pharmacies.
Keep going no matter what. Don't let prejudice stop you.
The system will be monitored if you file a complaint. That might help.
I need to catch up on all this. Let's talk later.
Sure. And remember, the referendum is next month.
I'll check it out.
Conversation 50. Discussing a war documentary.
Have you ever watched that documentary about the Civil War in Region X? I just finished it.
No, I haven't. What's it about? I've been quite busy with my rental property issues lately.
It focuses on the battlefield and the aftermath. The footage is raw. They don't distort the facts, but some scenes are hard to watch. There's a notable indictment of a former commander.
An indictment? For what? I read that the conflict was brutal, but I didn't know anyone was formally charged.
Yes. Charges include rape and destruction of civilian property. The tribunal issued a sanction against the entity that funded the militia.
That sounds terrible. But the issue was resolved quickly? No, I suppose not.
Actually, I think that's open to interpretation. The remains of some victims were found years later, and the court had to confine the defendant to house arrest under supervision.
Exactly. The whole situation devastated the region. Even now, marginal groups are struggling for citizenship rights.
You know what I mean? It feels like the international community crafted a response, but it wasn't enough.
You shouldn't ignore this issue. The mandatory reporting from the UN highlighted how the war impacted civilians.
I need to think this through. Do you think the documentary is balanced?
Partly. But some interviews seem to distort the timeline. Where do you work, by the way? Are you involved in human rights?
I work at a legal aid clinic. We help refugees apply for citizenship. I'll have completed a training course by next month.
That sounds great. I'll see you around. Maybe we can discuss this documentary again.
Sure. Thanks for the recommendation. I'll watch it this weekend.
Conversation 51. Renovation woes.
Have you seen the progress on the old library building?
I walked past it yesterday. That smells good. Actually, I went to check on the work. The superintendent stopped me to complain.
Oh, don't tell me. The execution of the restoration is a mess, I suppose.
I couldn't agree more. The superintendent said the contractors are cutting corners. The marble floor they installed has a stark difference in color from the original. He's deeply disappointed.
That's not surprising. They supposedly hired specialists, but the work looks amateur. I heard they tried to reproduce the old ceiling pattern and got it completely wrong.
It's hard to say if it's incompetence or just laziness. I'm honestly worried about the cost. We, as taxpayers, are funding this.
I'm thinking of staying home next weekend rather than go see the disaster. But listen, the superintendent wants us to collaborate on a letter to the city council.
That's a good idea. However, I'm a bit philosophical about it. Maybe the mistakes are part of the building's history.
That's a rather philosophical viewpoint for a leaking roof. I'm disappointed. We paid for accuracy, not modern art.
Spill the beans. Is there any chance they'll fix the errors without extra cost?
It's hard to say. My calculation is that the budget is already blown. The superintendent said the whole project is under review.
I've been learning from my mistakes when it comes to trusting lowest bidders. The correction bills will hurt.
They might need to conquer their pride and admit the mistake. Otherwise, this is just modern slavery for the original artisan's legacy. They shed their skill on that building.
I'm becoming more confident that we need public pressure. Thankfully, the local paper is interested.
Let's hope so. The superintendent has a stark warning for anyone who delays the project further. That might crush any hope for a quick fix.
She had already left when I arrived, but I'll catch up tomorrow. Let's collaborate on that letter tonight.
Conversation 52. Planning the community run.
I've been waiting for this moment. The charity run is finally coming together.
That makes sense in a way. But we've had to change the route because of the park's preservation rules.
Yes, we can't just march through the protected area. We need to allocate the route carefully.
I'm a local tenant here, and I don't want the event to undermine the quiet atmosphere. There have been allegations that last year's run caused damage. That allegation really worried the residents.
I mean, those allegations were never proven. We shouldn't condemn the event based on rumors.
I agree. However, we need to avoid any amateur mistakes. The classification of the park as a protected zone means we must follow strict guidelines.
But what about the glory of winning? If we shorten the route, it won't feel like a real race.
The glory comes from participation and promoting equality, not just the distance. I'll be focusing on what matters.
Exactly. You could achieve more than you think if you join the organization team. I'll sort it out with the city council regarding the suspension of the old route.
I've already eaten. Actually, I had lunch just before this meeting, but back to business. The council said we need a mentor to oversee the consolidation of the event with the park's conservation plan.
Good. I'll attribute that role to you, B. You have experience.
It worked out well the last time I mentored a similar run. I'm used to waking up early on weekends to check the course.
I've just arrived from a meeting with the park warden. He wants us to flesh out the details of how we protect the grass and trees.
That's part of the preservation commitment. We can allocate extra volunteers to clean up afterwards.
And we must avoid any action that could undermine the trust of the local community.
If we handle that, I think this event can actually bring glory to the neighborhood.
I mean, that's the whole point. Consolidation of our efforts will benefit everyone.
Conversation 53. Retreat planning.
Good morning, team. I received a memo from the administrator about the retreat.
I've been meaning to talk to you about that. I feel a sense of accomplishment from last year's event.
What are you talking about? The paintball session was problematic because of the firearms.
That never crossed my mind. But we're liable for any injuries.
I totally agree. We need an adjustment to the safety rules.
I'll think it through, but I think we should be selective about activities.
I'll probably take a break soon to review the budget. But first, let me contend with this plan.
You shouldn't have said that we have limited funds. We need to embark on a cost-effective enterprise.
I can't quite explain why, but hiking seems glorious this time of year.
That never crossed my mind. But we also need to consider equipment maintenance.
We could nominate someone to handle that.
I was sleeping earlier when you discussed this, but I can do it.
Good. Then we can simultaneously plan the meals and the route.
My thesis is that the retreat should focus on liberation from work stress.
I feel a sense of accomplishment when we achieve a challenging hike.
All right, let's finalize. I'll draft a new memo with the adjustments.
I'll think it through about the dates.
I'll probably take a break soon to check the weather.
Meeting adjourned.
Conversation 54. The delicate manuscript.
I've been looking at that manuscript all morning. It's incredibly detailed.
To be honest, I'm surprised we found it at all. The author was supposedly a recluse.
Yes, but his precision in describing the civic events of the time is remarkable.
I regret not taking action sooner. I should have insisted on a backup copy before we started handling it.
Don't worry. The manuscript is delicate, but we've been careful.
If I had time, I would travel to the archives to verify some of the claims, but my schedule is packed.
You read my mind. I was thinking the same thing.
Let's pick it up tomorrow. We can discuss the legislative implications then.
I'll think it over tonight. There's a mathematical error in one of the dates that bothers me.
Really? That could dictate whether the timeline is accurate.
Exactly. And if the assassination was part of a larger plot, it changes everything.
Speaking of changes, the author's obsession with numbers is almost revolutionary for his time.
He was a contributor to several journals, but this manuscript is his magnum opus.
I'm still a rookie at this, but I think the bonus material in the appendix is crucial.
You should take a break, Ben. You've been reading for hours.
I'll be waiting for you at the cafe downstairs if you want to continue later.
If I were in your position, I'd wait until we have the full transcription.
The manuscript circulation was extremely limited back then.
That does oblige us to handle it with extra care.
Good point. Let's not rush. We want precision, not speed.
The civic duty here is to publish accurately.
Agreed. I have been waiting for years when this manuscript arrived.
Let's wrap up for today. We'll review the backup copies tomorrow.
Conversation 55. Course registration dilemma.
Hi, Professor. I'm trying to decide whether to audit your seminar or take it for credit.
I'm starting to understand your dilemma. The workload is heavy.
I'm not feeling great today because I've spent countless hours reading.
Don't mess it up. You need a systematic approach.
I've gained a new understanding after the undergraduate lecture on methodology.
That's timely. The corresponding reading list is now online.
What's the sole advantage of auditing?
You can explore topics without pressure to suppress your curiosity.
The trademark of this course is its challenging assignments.
I feel a sense of clarity now. I might audit.
As an educator, I must differentiate between audit and credit students. Your participation will be graded respectively.
The fragile state of my schedule makes auditing appealing.
I just got home from registration. The system crashed continually.
The university needs systematic legislation to prevent this.
There is new legislation to suppress over-enrollment.
I'll call you when I decide. I'm not in the mood for more stress.
Your solo choice matters. Don't rush.
I'm trying to stay positive. By the way, are there solo presentations in the audit option?
Yes, but they are optional. You must also attend the corresponding tutorials.
I just got home from the library. I've made my decision.
What is it?
I'll audit. I think that's best.
Conversation 56. The garden's fate.
I've been coming to this place for years. It's such a shame they're replacing the garden.
I know. The council's endorsement of that project really upset everyone. Can I ask you something? Do you think the protest would have escalated if the police hadn't interfered?
Absolutely. The riot was already brewing. The ratio of supporters to opponents was clearly in our favor, but the police presence only made things worse.
I wish I could go back in time and prevent the whole thing.
That's understandable. But we have to deal with the aftermath now.
What do you suggest we do?
We could start a petition, but it's not easy.
Sorry to interrupt. I just moved in next door. I heard about the riot. How old are you, if you don't mind? You seem to remember the garden from long ago.
I'm 34, but I wish I knew the answer to how to stop this destruction.
Some people are talking about revenge against the developer. That would only induce more conflict.
We need to think long-term. Maybe a replacement park elsewhere can be negotiated.
I'm starting to feel better about the situation after hearing you talk. It's not all hopeless.
Yes, but the damage is gross. The demolition crew left a real mess, and the noise is pronounced, even from here.
Ironically, the developer promised to reassure residents, but they did the opposite.
They must be held accountable. This whole thing feels like urban warfare.
I'm feeling inspired to join your group. What can I do?
We'll have a meeting later. I'll see you when I see you. But if we act fast, I'll have finished the petition by then.
Great. And don't let the creep of corporate interests win. They shouldn't interfere with our community.
Exactly. Let's stay united.
Conversation 57. Suburban Choir Debut.
Hi, Jordan. What have you been up to? I've been trying to reach you for days.
Hey, Alex. Sorry, I've been swamped with work. What's happening?
Our suburban choir is finally making its debut this weekend. I'm on cloud 9.
That's fantastic. You must be thrilled. So the choir has been rehearsing a lot?
Yes, we've had specialized vocal training for the past month. I correspond with the director almost daily about the set list. He told me he was busy with arrangements.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Jordan. I heard you're performing. I'm writing a review for the local paper. Could I ask a few questions?
Of course, Casey. I'll be there in a bit to help set up. But I have a few minutes now.
Great. First, what's the theme of the concert?
It's called Divine Echoes. We hope the acoustics create a beautiful echo in the hall.
Interesting. And how do you think the audience will respond?
I think the performance could lead to better recognition for our group. We have a real stake in making it a success.
Absolutely. I'll back this up with data. Ticket sales have been strong for a suburban event.
Good to know. Any concerns about the proceeding? For example, someone might stumble on stage?
We've rehearsed so much that we won't stumble. The only refusal we had was from a singer who couldn't commit.
I see. And who would you say is the crown jewel of the choir?
Our soprano soloist, Maria. Her voice is truly divine. She could grip the audience from the first note.
The concert could be the harvest of all your efforts. I'll keep moving forward with promoting the event. Is there anything you want me to endorse on social media?
Yes, please share the poster. Also, you might want to check again the venue's address. It's a bit tricky.
I'll note that. The concert seems to have great merit. I look forward to covering it.
Thanks. Let's catch up sometime soon after the show.
Definitely. I'll be there in a bit to help with the setup.
Perfect.
Conversation 58. Planning the Community Food Festival.
So, we finally got the green light for the Multicultural Food Festival. Let's review the results of the initial survey.
That's something I've been thinking about. The response was positive, but we need to weave in more local traditions to make it credible.
I agree. And in the meantime, we should notify the vendors about the updated health regulations.
I feel confident about the logistics, but I'm not ready to decide yet on the cocktail competition. We have 3 strong candidates.
I've been thinking about it a lot. The recipe from that foreigner was impressive, but the one submitted by the local chef uses a unique dip that could be a crowd pleaser.
Let's dub the competition International Fusion to attract more attention. It has a prestigious ring to it.
That's a great idea. I'll do my best to promote it. But we also need to initiate the sign-up process soon. The deadline is imminent.
You should consider this carefully. We have to ease newcomers into the event. Perhaps a small workshop beforehand.
Good point. And what about the children? We could have an offspring corner with simple activities so parents can enjoy the festival.
I've learned a lot from that experience at the last event. We didn't plan family activities, and it backfired. No more revenge planning. Let's do it right this time.
I feel much better now that we're addressing these issues, but we must defy any attempt to cut the budget again. Quality is key.
Exactly. Let's move forward. I'm weighing my options on the schedule, but I think we should finalize it next week.
Agreed. In the meantime, I'll email the health department to confirm we didn't miss any rules.
Conversation 59. Couples Counseling Session.
Good afternoon. Let's define the scope of today's session. What's the main issue here?
Well, I think the underlying problem is that my spouse and I rarely communicate.
I'm not in the mood to discuss this again. You always avoid confrontation.
That's not true. I'm working on it.
Let's not avoid the topic. You mentioned a specific incident, the cabinet you tried to fix.
Yes, he tried to rotate the shelf but broke it. That was the last straw.
The deficiency in my DIY skills is obvious, but that's not the real issue.
What's the real issue?
I feel that our intimate moments have diminished. You're always reluctant to spend time with me.
That's your perception. I had finished all my work before you came home last week, but you were on the phone.
Let's not blame. Perhaps the ignorance on both sides creates a complication.
I've been considering individual counseling. My counselor suggested we both attend sessions.
I'm open to that. That helped me grow when I went before.
Good. Let me know when you're free for the next appointment. For now, let's call it a day.
But we haven't resolved anything.
Let's agree to disagree on some points. The statistical data shows that couples improve when they keep talking.
I just wish you would look at me when we speak. Your gaze always wanders.
That's an intimate request. Let's focus on the underlying deficiency in trust.
I'm reluctant to trust again after the last incident.
The institutional support from this clinic can help.
Indeed. Let's define the scope for next week. The movie that we watched last session gave you an example of communication.
True. I saw that we need to confront our fears.
Conversation 60. Discussing the Maritime Treaty.
Have you seen the news about the new Maritime Treaty? It's meant to reduce pollution from cargo vessels.
Yes, I read about it. It's intriguing, but I'm concerned about the economic surge it might cause. Shipping companies will have to render their fleets compliant.
That's a real dilemma. On one hand, we need to stop environmental atrocity. On the other, the regulatory costs could be huge.
Sorry I'm late. They were waiting for you? Actually, I was stuck in traffic.
No worries. We were just discussing the treaty. What's your take?
I'm starting to feel at ease about it, actually. A veteran sailor I know said that modern vessels can adapt without huge costs.
But I'm beginning to realize that the treaty might be purely ideological. It's not solely about the environment, there's political pressure.
Let's evaluate the risks carefully. The treaty has a counter. It requires all ships to have new filters. That could snap some small companies.
I'll look it up. I remember a report that said the price surge was exaggerated.
I'm proud of myself for reading the fine print. The treaty holds companies accountable, but what about governments?
Exactly. They said they would never give up on voluntary measures, but now it's mandatory.
Let's figure this out together. Maybe we can write a thoughtful letter to our representative.
I couldn't have said it better. Let's keep it simple. We support the goal, but want a favorable timeline.
Good point. Perhaps we should also consider the impact on developing countries.
That's a valid concern. The treaty should not solely burden them.
Indeed. Let's add that to our letter.
All right. I'll start drafting tonight. I'm beginning to realize that this is a complex issue.
Let's evaluate the risks carefully again, this time from a global perspective.
I think we've covered the main points. Let's keep it simple and clear.
Agreed. Time for a coffee break? I'm starting to feel at ease now.
Sure. But first, I'll look it up one more time to check the latest data.
Good idea. Then we can finalize.
Conversation 61. Planning an exhibition on the history of conflict.
So, we've got the green light for the new exhibition. Let's plan this step by step. Where do we start?
I have a meeting at 10 with the designers, but before that, I want to get your initial thoughts. I think we should focus on the evolutionary nature of warfare, how it's changed.
That's a good angle. I didn't used to like military history, but studying the descent into modern tactics is fascinating. Come to think of it, we can show a succession of weapon technologies.
I'm worried about the tone. It can't glorify violence. We need to include the humanitarian cost, the evacuation of civilians, for instance. And ironically, the same technology that aids warfare also helps with search and rescue.
Hit the nail on the head. That's a key tension. We should have a section on the breach of peace, how a single act, like a rebellion or a traitor's actions, can trigger a conflict.
I see. We could have a map showing adjacent territories and how conflicts spread. The intent of the original poll of public opinion at the time could be a starting point.
Yes, and we can't ignore the aftermath. The burial of the dead, the reconstruction, commodity shortages. But how do we make it feel personal, not just a crawl of dates?
We'll use personal diaries. I've known him since childhood. But our curator, David, actually found one from a soldier. It shows the descent into despair perfectly.
Take it easy on the budget, though. We can't afford to evacuate the whole gallery for installation. I wish I had believed in myself more when I first proposed this idea.
Stay focused on your goals. The story is strong. I'll make up my mind later about the final layout, but for now, let's agree on the narrative arc.
Agreed. We'll have the first draft of the text by Friday. Let's plan this step by step, starting with the introductory panel about the horizon of conflict.
Conversation 62. The cemetery development dispute.
I can't believe they're planning to build a shipping hub right next to the old cemetery. It gives me an uneasy feeling.
I understand your anxiety, but the proposal has been reviewed. Based on the data, we should proceed.
But the cemetery wall is already listing. Any vibrations could send debris onto the graves.
The developers are very influential in this ward. They're consciously ignoring residents' concerns.
Sometimes, I feel like giving up when I see how little power we have.
Let's focus on the key issue, safety. The company hasn't committed harassment yet.
They've sent threatening letters to opposition. That's harassment.
Exactly. And if a tree limb snaps due to construction, someone could lose a limb.
The odds of that are tiny. We should test this first before making any accusations.
You might want to rethink that. A replacement location for the hub would be far better.
Let's make a data-driven decision. The validity of their environmental report is questionable.
I'll definitely try to arrange an independent survey to reassure everyone.
Let's sort this through properly. We need to seal off the area and ward off any risk.
There's a clear clash between economic gain and preserving history.
Things happen. We can't stop all development, but we can mitigate.
I'm learning to let things go on smaller issues, but not this one. We need to be vigilant.
And we need to consciously monitor the creep of construction activities.
Exactly. Let's not let it creep up on us without proper safeguards.
Conversation 63. Adjusting the studio layout.
I've been trying to reconfigure the studio layout, but I'm hitting a wall. Basically, the new furniture doesn't fit the grid I planned.
That doesn't seem right. You measured everything before ordering, didn't you?
I did, but the catalog showed the dimensions wrong. The sofa is way deeper than expected, and now it's situated right in front of the window, blocking the light.
Could you just swap it with the armchair? The armchair is smaller.
I considered that, but the logic of the room would be off. The ratio of seating to floor space would be unbalanced. We'd lose too much walking room.
What if you modify the positioning? You could rotate the sofa 90 degrees.
That might work, but I'd need to move the rod for the curtains. It's currently halfway along that wall.
Can you install an auto curtain system? Then the rod wouldn't matter.
That's an idea, but any modification to the wiring could overwhelm the circuit. We already have too many devices plugged in.
Let's not underestimate the gravity of that. A power surge could be destructive for the audio equipment.
Exactly. So I think we need to dissolve the original layout plan and start from scratch.
What about the storage? You had a chunk of space reserved for a bookshelf.
I'll keep that parameter fixed. The bookshelf stays. It's the seating area that needs rethinking.
I'm not comfortable with the incarceration of all your instruments behind the sofa. They should be accessible.
True. That doesn't seem right either. The whole logic of the layout needs reworking. Let me check the catalog again.
Conversation 64. Park renovation debate.
Good morning, B. Have you seen the park renovation proposal? I've been meaning to talk to you about it.
Actually, I have. What do you think about this? I find it quite mainstream.
I need more time to form an opinion. But I need to form an opinion. I want to, but I'm contemplating the environmental impact. They want to remove the old oak tree. I can't uphold that.
That really made me think. However, the new playground will be superior. The council says it'll bring immense benefits.
You shouldn't doubt yourself too much, but I'm still skeptical. If I keep trying to understand, I'll improve. But do we have to cooperate with the counselor?
Hello, I'm the local counselor. I can retrieve the full report for you. It's straightforward.
Thanks. Will there be consecutive days of construction noise?
No, they'll work in blocks, and the team will readily answer any concerns.
Some residents have a very negative outlook. They see no benefit whatsoever.
Well, you're almost a saint for staying positive. I've just been working all day in my garden, so I haven't read the fine print.
We should prioritize what matters most, like preserving trees. I think we should delegate a committee to study it.
A duo of volunteers could handle that. It's likely to happen soon if we all cooperate.
That sounds reasonable, but I'm still contemplating the cost. Is it really necessary?
I think it is. The current equipment is outdated, and the new design is more inclusive.
Exactly. We've had many requests from families. It's a straightforward upgrade.
All right. I'll trust the process. Thanks for the discussion.
No problem. Let's meet again next week to see the final plan.
I'll send a reminder.
Conversation 65. Organizing the community market.
Jamie, have you seen the latest feedback on our farmers market proposal? The person who handled the survey did a great job, but I think we're missing something about the layout.
I'm fine with that. We can adjust. But first, we need a consensus on the vendor selection criteria. Should we abolish the old rule that excludes part-timers?
It seems reasonable to assume that more vendors would enrich the variety. However, we must ensure transparency in how we choose them. Accountability is key.
Absolutely. And what about the aesthetic of the stalls? I'm about to leave for a meeting with the design team, but I'd suggest a consistent look.
Don't back out now. You're the most prominent advocate for this. By the way, I heard Sam is bringing his beloved cattle to the livestock section. That should attract families.
Great. The removal of the old concrete barriers and the insertion of wooden fences will improve the look. Also, we should include a meditation area for relaxation.
That helped me grow as a planner last year. The quiet zone was popular, but we need to induce more foot traffic. Perhaps a companion app for the market.
Yes, an app could provide real-time detection of sold-out items and separation of organic and conventional produce. And we could add a feature for the removal of sold-out listings.
Good idea. I think we're missing something about the pricing. Customers want to see farmer profiles for transparency.
I'm about to leave now, but let's note that for the next meeting. Hello. I'm sorry I'm late. I was checking the cattle. So, what's the plan?
We're discussing the final touches. You should trust yourself more. Your farm has always been a highlight. We'll turn things around with the new layout.
I agree. It was great seeing you both. Let's finalize tomorrow. I'm fine with that, but I think we're missing something about the waste separation bins. We need clear signage.
Good point. And we must ensure accountability for any detection of spoiled produce. The removal of expired items must be swift.
It seems reasonable to assume that the community will support us. Let's proceed. Conversation 66. The bar and the seminary.
Something feels off here. The new bar on Elm Street is attracting a rowdy crowd, and I've heard complaints from the seminary next door.
I understand your argument, but we also need to consider the economic benefits. However, the noise levels are becoming a grave concern.
I agree. I'm becoming more self-aware about how these disturbances affect students. They study theology there, after all.
Exactly. The bar's owner seems hostile to our suggestions. He even threatened to call the police if we interfere.
Well, the police might facilitate a solution if we escalated, but we need to think long-term.
I'm about to start a new project to mediate between the bar and the seminary. It's a difficult feat.
I'll check back later to see how that goes. Presently, though, the situation is getting worse. Last weekend, there was almost a riot.
I heard someone tried to stab another patron. That's gross negligence from the bar staff.
The bar also took a hostage in a sense. They've held the neighborhood's peace hostage. We must address this.
We should disregard any threats and insist on an escort for students after dark. And we need to deem this a priority.
They even have an ex-convict working there, which doesn't help. The barrel of beer they serve isn't the issue. It's the behavior.
I'll keep moving forward with my mediation plan. I've gained a new understanding of how to handle such conflicts.
I'm planning to take a break from this stress. But first, I need to make a decision. I'll make up my mind later, after we get more info.
That sounds reasonable, but I'm worried the bar owner will just disregard any agreement.
We'll have to escort the students ourselves if necessary. It's a huge responsibility.
I think we've covered everything for now. I'll check back later, after the mediation meeting.
Good. I'll keep moving forward with the petition as well.
And I'm planning to take a break from this stress too. Let's meet next week.
Conversation 67. Community Festival Plans.
I'm glad we had this conversation about the festival. We need a clear direction before the municipal council meeting tomorrow.
The decision was made yesterday? I thought we had more time.
No, they want our proposal by noon. The premise of our budget request is that the festival boosts local engagement.
I'm still thinking about whether we can pull it off without substantial funding.
Don't back out now. We have a legendary chef who trained at a top culinary academy and offered to sponsor the food stalls.
That's a miracle. But the fairness of the sponsorship needs to be checked so smaller vendors aren't pushed out.
True. We need to circulate the terms to all vendors.
You might want to check again if the chef's contract has any hidden clauses.
I will. The guy who helped me with the legal stuff was awesome.
What about the moral fiber of the community? We can't let commercial interests take over completely.
That's a valid point. Morality is at the core of our festival's identity.
But if we don't get a single subscriber for the event newsletter, how will we circulate information?
We'll rely on social media. The engagement online has been substantial.
I still worry that the municipal council might cut the budget. That would suck.
It would, but let's focus on our triumph, if we succeed.
Once in a blue moon, a community event really brings people together. This could be that.
Exactly. The place where we held the festival last year was amazing, but the premise of this year's venue is different.
I need directions to the new venue. Do you have a map?
Yes, I'll send you the map. Let's not linger on the negatives.
Agreed. The assurance from the chef is a big plus.
All right, let's wrap up. I'm glad we had this conversation.
Conversation 68. Memorial Event Planning.
So, we need to finalize the memorial event details. The idea that we discussed is powerful, but there's a rumor going around that the funding fell through.
That's not true. We have the backing from the city council. They said they were ready to provide the grant. I had finished the budget report before he arrived, so it's all clear.
Good. But we still need an endorsement from the local lawmaker to secure the variable costs. I'll reach out to them. What do you do for a living? Oh, right. You're the volunteer coordinator.
Yes. I'm starting to feel at ease now that we have a plan. But we need to think outside the box for the unveiling ceremony. Maybe a sketch of the memorial design could be part of a newsletter submission.
Exactly. We can include that in the newsletter we send out. However, we must avoid any adaptation that would incur extra costs.
I'll talk to the lawmaker. But I need directions to their office. Can you send me the address? I'll catch up with you later, after the meeting.
Sure. Also, we had a submission from an artist for the memorial plaque. It's a beautiful sketch, but the design might require some reverse engineering to fit the budget.
Sounds like a plan. Let's adjust accordingly. I'm feeling a bit off today, but I'll manage.
We must also be careful not to manipulate the feedback from the community. If we surrender to pressure, we might lose the original vision.
Agreed. Subsequently, we need to ensure all legal approvals are in place. Also, regarding the newsletter, I suggest we include a call for submissions.
Good idea. But we have to be mindful of the deadline. The variable timeline might incur penalties if we delay.
I can handle that. I had finished the newsletter draft before he arrived, so it's ready for review.
Perfect. Then I'll focus on getting the endorsement from the lawmaker. They said they were ready to support us.
Excellent. I'm starting to feel at ease now. Let's proceed with this plan.
Sounds like a plan. I'll catch up with you later, after I update the sketch.
Great. Keep me posted.
Will do. And I'll send you the lawmaker's feedback accordingly.
Perfect. So, let's meet again next week.
Conversation 69. A heated debate about a news platform.
Have you seen the latest posts on that political commentary site? They really are in a critical vein this week.
I have. Honestly, I find their editorial stance fairly damaging to public discourse. They just rage against everything without offering solutions.
I see your point, but I disagree. I think they articulate their concerns quite clearly, especially regarding media propaganda.
That's open to interpretation. I find the writing superb in places, but the constant negativity can heighten your anxiety if you read it too much.
Exactly. It's like they want to descend into doom scrolling. I had a subscription for a month, but I canceled it. That was one drawback I hadn't anticipated.
You shouldn't doubt yourself too much. It's a legitimate choice. I'm about to leave for work, but let's figure this out together later.
If I had given up reading it entirely, I wouldn't be here arguing about it with you. I think there's a valuable specimen of modern journalism buried under all the noise.
True. But the discrimination between solid reporting and opinion pieces is often lost. My patience is wearing thin with them.
They were waiting for you to bring up that point. I'll back this up with data. I read a study last night on how such outlets polarize their audience.
You shouldn't doubt yourself too much, but you also need to conserve your energy for things that matter. I'll send you an email with a list of more balanced sources.
Agreed. The problem is, many people alike use these sites as their only news source. It's a sobering thought.
I'll be working on improving my own media literacy this summer. No more passive consumption for me.
That's a good plan. And for the record, my standing on this issue hasn't changed. I still think balanced debate is essential.
Let's figure this out together over coffee next week. I'm open to having my mind changed.
That's open to interpretation. Anyway, I have to go now.
Conversation 70. Choosing a conference delegation.
So, the department has to select 2 people for the international conference in Geneva. The director mandate that the delegation includes someone from our team. Can you help me for a moment with the shortlist?
Of course. I had been waiting for this announcement, actually. I've seen the ranking of potential candidates from last year's event. Professor Chen is renowned for his research, but he tends to cling to outdated ideas.
You might be right. Still, his reputation is comparable to the top speakers there. However, his health constitution worries me. He had an outbreak of a serious condition last spring.
I'm not ready to decide yet, but you shouldn't doubt yourself too much if you're considering recommending someone younger. I got a glimpse of the new researcher, Dr. Li, and her work seems fresh.
That's true, and her background in public health does entitle her to a spot. The conference theme on global health issues originate from a recent WHO guidance document.
I'm becoming more self-aware about our biases. That must be hard to balance seniority with innovation. But let's prioritize this list before the deadline.
Exactly. The director's encouragement was clear. Choose someone who can represent our new direction. I feel more in control now after reviewing the profiles.
You could try something else. What if we send both Dr. Li and Professor Chen? The topics they cover are at the intersection of theory and practice.
You might be right, but the budget is limited. The hotel costs will rise correspondingly if we choose 2 senior delegates.
Good point. But you shouldn't doubt yourself too much. We have the funds. And I indulge in a bit of optimism. This is our chance to shine.
I'm not ready to decide yet, but I'll support whichever choice you make. Let's submit the proposal.
Agreed. Let's finalize this.
Conversation 71. Community parking dispute.
Pastor Lee, I've heard about the proposition to build a new parking lot behind the church. Is everything okay? Some residents seem quite upset.
Yes, Alex. The idea is that more parking would make the area more desirable for visitors, but a few people have formed a mob, namely about 20 neighbors who oppose it.
I hadn't thought of that. I presume the project was already approved. What's the main justification for the protest?
They claim we didn't consult them properly. There's also a concern about the aftermath of construction, noise, traffic, and weaker soil that could weaken the foundations of nearby houses.
That doesn't seem right. The church has jurisdiction over its own land, doesn't it? I mean, the settlement here has always supported church projects.
Legally, maybe, but the implementation of any new structure requires proper identification of potential risks. We can't just ignore the community's feelings.
I agree. If it worked for you, Jordan, I'd be lost trying to navigate this conflict. Still, I'm not ready to decide yet. We need to compute the costs more carefully.
I'll be focusing on this task over the next few days. I'll be there soon to help with the paperwork.
Good. And I'm heading out now to talk to a few of the angry residents. I hope we can reach a settlement before things escalate.
The manipulation of information by some troublemakers has made this worse. There's a notorious gossip who spreads half-truths.
I'm proud of myself for staying calm during the last meeting, but we need a clear plan.
Absolutely. The work is done only when everyone feels heard. Let's schedule another discussion.
Agreed. Thanks for your support.
Conversation 72. Planning the Beaver Sanctuary fundraiser.
So, let's lay this out clearly. We have the fundraising gathering next Saturday, but we still need to finalize the inventory of supplies.
Right. I'll see you when I see you at the storage unit later. But first, I wanted to inquire about the budget. Did we get the grant?
Not yet. That's a real twist. The committee decided to postpone their decision. If it gets worse, we'll need to rely entirely on donations.
That's insane. We can't just plunge into the event without a backup plan. We should test this first, maybe do a small pre-event to gauge interest.
You're kidding. That would take even more time. Look, the beaver dam restoration is integral to the sanctuary's ecosystem. We need to maximize our outreach.
Exactly. And we also need to educate people about the predator-prey balance. For example, the beaver is a keystone species. It can actually reduce aggression in the water flow by building dams.
I couldn't have said it better. Their dominance in shaping the landscape is remarkable. But let's set things up properly. We still need to handle the processing of credit card payments for the event.
I've already arranged that. Also, I'll prepare a short talk about how beavers worship the water. No, that's silly. I meant how they're like engineers.
Ha, careful with the word worship. But yes, they are a contender for the most influential animal in their habitat.
What are you up to right now? Can you review this list of donors? We need to send thank you notes.
Sure, but first, can you review this? It's the plan for the silent auction. We need to plunge into the details of item pricing.
I'll handle that. I'll also check the inventory of baked goods.
Good. Don't forget, any aggression from competitors? No, we're the only sanctuary doing this.
Let's just focus. If it gets worse, call me. But I think we're on track.
Agreed. Let's maximize our efforts.
Perfect. I'll see you when I see you at the gathering.
Conversation 73. The Theater Reconstruction Debate.
What's going on? I've been trying to reach you all morning. Did you see the latest article about the old theater?
I've just been thinking about you, actually. Yes, I read it. The columnist really stirred things up with that piece.
Are you joking? That columnist is always defensive about any changes. She called the reconstruction plan fraudulent, just because the funding isn't fully transparent.
I understand your argument, but we should seriously consider the scope of the project. The charter for the theater's restoration is quite detailed.
I'm fine with that, but the complexity of the design might make it impossible to erect a building that matches the original.
We strive for authenticity, but the eternal question is, should we rebuild exactly as it was, or allow some concession to modern needs?
That's a fair point. The personnel from the Historical Society are meeting tomorrow. They have a ritual of inspecting every old beam.
That sounds engaging, but I worry about the collective cost. The city's budget is already stretched.
It's plausible that we could find private donors.
The theater has a special place in the community, but we need to beware of fraudulent fundraising schemes.
I'm excited about the possibility. However, we must ensure the fundraising is legitimate.
Just text me when you arrive at the meeting tomorrow. I'll bring the surveyor's report and a list of potential donors.
Good. For now, let's focus on finding a concession that satisfies both sides. Perhaps we can compromise on the interior design.
Agreed. Let's carry this forward to the next council session. By the way, do you think the columnist will publish another piece?
I'm sure she will. She loves to stir debate. But I've been thinking, maybe we should invite her to the meeting to see the real plan.
Are you joking? She'll just write another defensive article.
I understand your argument, but it might help if she sees the effort we put into this reconstruction.
I'm fine with that. Let's carry this forward and schedule a private tour for her.
If she writes a fraudulent account, we'll have to correct it publicly.
We can handle that. The eternal challenge is to maintain public trust.
Indeed, I'm excited to see how this turns out.
Conversation 74. The Humanitarian Story.
I've been reading your latest article. The decision was made yesterday to feature the monk's work in the conflict zone. How does that sound to you?
It's a good start, but I'm weighing my options on how to portray him. The situation on the ground is harsh. The humanitarian crisis there is unprecedented. I don't want to characterize it incorrectly.
Is everything okay? You sound hesitant.
Well, the local correspondent sent me some footage. In one scene, a family is stranded on a narrow pathway after a bridge collapsed. The monk is trying to tighten a rope to help them cross, but the wind is pronounced. He's working with just one strand of rope, which makes it tricky. It's hard to show his loyalty to his community without making it look like a spectacle.
I see your point. The issue is being addressed by the editors. They want a balanced angle.
Yes, the system is being updated as we speak. but a lawsuit threat from one aid group has put a halt to publishing the full report. They claim the piece will characterize their work negatively.
We should look at the bigger picture. The monk's diagnosis of the local needs is actually what drives the story. If we focus on that, we can avoid the legal risks.
I agree. I'll be working on the revision tomorrow. I'll turn things around by emphasizing the humanitarian effort, not the conflict.
That might work. But remember, the monk's voice kept going forth despite the hardships. We need to capture that resilience.
It was great seeing you both. Let's meet again after the revision is sent.
Sounds like a plan. I'll send you the new draft forth tonight.
Conversation 75. Merger plans.
I've been meaning to reach out about the proposed merger. Have you seen the latest figures?
I'm almost done with the financial report. The deficit is quite large, and costs continue to soar.
Let's calm down first. We need a clear strategy before we panic.
I'm not completely sold on that idea. The deadline for the specification document looms, and we have no agreement yet.
I'll have completed the full analysis by tomorrow. That should give us a clearer picture.
Let's build on that idea. Can you show me the way to integrate the product gear from both companies?
There's a vacuum in the marketing department after the recent layoffs. The exclusion of key staff is hurting us.
The distinction between our premium line and their budget brand must be maintained.
The merger could result in explosive growth if we play our cards right.
But we only have a verbal commitment from their CEO. We need a written contract.
That's why we need a diplomat to handle the negotiations. Someone with experience.
I'm leaning towards that option. However, the deployment of our resources must be planned carefully.
I respectfully disagree. This isn't a worthy cause if it leads to loss of our core values.
The competition is lethal. If we don't act now, we'll be left behind.
She said she would help with the legal team, but the closure of our old factory has created tension.
Let's focus. We need to address the looming issues before they become crises.
I agree. Let's schedule a follow-up to discuss the deployment timeline.
And we should involve the diplomat from the HR department.
Good point. I'll have completed my draft by then.
Conversation 76. Balancing career and ethics.
What do you do for a living? I remember you mentioning something about tech startups.
Yes, I'm currently working for a small firm that tries to pioneer ethical AI. It's still a very preliminary stage, but I find it worthwhile.
That sounds interesting. I'm thinking of staying home more often these days, actually. I've been freelancing, so I have a bit more flexibility.
I can see where you're coming from. The dependence on a fixed office routine can feel restrictive, but I think the latter option, freelancing, has its own challenges.
Absolutely. I used to play football every weekend to blow off steam, but since I started my own project, I've had less time. I'm planning to start a business focused on sustainable fashion.
What's the point, though? If the market is dominated by fast fashion, it's hard to compete with capitalism.
Well, you have to execute your ideas carefully. If you can embed sustainability into the core of the brand, you might provoke a real change in consumer habits.
That's the hope. But I also worry about the initial hostility from established brands. They might try to unveil negative aspects of my business.
Sounds like a plan? But don't let that tempt you to cut corners. I tried something similar years ago, and the grief it cost me was overwhelming.
I had been studying before the exam when you called me that day, remember? I almost gave up on my own startup after that failure.
But you kept going. I think behavioral changes in consumers can make a project productive if you stick with it.
Let's agree to disagree on the ease of changing the market. I'll be there soon for our meeting next week to discuss this further.
Good. I'll await your ideas with interest.
Conversation 77. Planning a documentary screening.
I've just been working all day on the documentary screening. The idea that you suggested about focusing on his biography is interesting, but we need to sort the technical setup.
I'm grateful you're taking the lead. I had been thinking about it for a while, and I think we should include the rare footage from his years in asylum.
Yes, but the transmission of that footage might be tricky. The current configuration of the projector isn't ideal.
I feel nervous about the timeline. The main contention is whether we can get everything ready by Friday.
I've been trying to fix this issue with the sound system, but it might be better to postpone the event.
That's diplomatic, but the weather will deteriorate next week, so we can't delay too long.
Let's take a different approach. We could toss the idea of a live screening and instead do a streaming event.
That's a hypothesis worth considering. However, an enthusiast might prefer the cinema experience.
The work is done on the venue booking, but I need to go shopping for more cables.
I'm struggling to stay focused with all these decisions. Perhaps we should have an intensive meeting to finalize everything.
The biography includes a key chapter that should precede the discussion of his scientific work. That part is very accessible to the audience.
Good point. We need a synthesis of the archival material and the new interviews.
Exactly. I'll handle the diplomatic contacts with the archive, and I'm grateful for your help.
No problem. Let's confirm the configuration tomorrow.
Conversation 78. Community Center Renovation.
Have you heard about the community center renovation? They're planning a major transformation.
Yes, I've known about it since last month, but there's a constraint. The budget is quite limited.
That's true. Still, it's a privilege to be involved in such a project. We must ensure inclusion of all age groups.
Agreed. However, the design seems flawed. The main hall is too small. If I had more money, I'd invest it in expanding that space.
That's open to interpretation. Some people think a smaller hall creates a cozier atmosphere.
Well, we need to assemble a committee to discuss these issues. I'm feeling tired just thinking about all the meetings.
You must stay consistent in your efforts. Don't give up now. I feel like giving up sometimes too, but we have to keep going.
The reason why I stayed involved is simple: solidarity with the community. By the way, have you seen the new franchise coffee shop that opened beneath the center?
Yes, it's very clinical. All white and sterile. Not my style. But they offer a discount for volunteers.
That's good. We need to whip up some enthusiasm for the renovation. Could you help with the publicity?
Sure, but first, we need a disclosure of the actual costs. The previous report was incomplete.
I regret not calling the architect earlier. He might have clarified things. Also, we need to resume the planning sessions next week.
I know. There's an admission fee for the upcoming fundraiser. $5 per person.
That's reasonable. Let's check the schedule. Oh, and I saw your resume. Impressive. You have experience in project management.
Thanks. But beneath that experience, I'm still learning.
Well, let's hope for stability in the funding. If I had the chance, I would do it differently. Maybe start with a smaller renovation.
By the way, the contractor told me he was busy next week, so we might delay.
That's a problem. Anyway, time to get back to work.
Right. See you at the meeting.
Conversation 79. Technology for Rural Prosperity.
What's going on? You both look busy.
I'm reviewing the processor specs for the new project.
And I'm reading the governance guidelines. The integration of community input is crucial.
You've got a point. The work is being reviewed by the coalition partners.
It might be a good idea to try this hardware upgrade as a supplement to existing systems.
I agree. The interim results from other regions show promise for prosperity.
I'm planning to expand my skills in data analysis to help with the evaluation.
I'll be focusing on the technical side. The congressional approval is pending.
I had been studying similar policies before this initiative. The place where we saw success was a village that embraced change.
That sounds like a magical formula. How did the local peasants react?
At first, they were hesitant, but after integration, their livelihoods improved.
That's encouraging. I had been worried about the cultural barriers.
You've got a point. The governance of the project must consider local customs.
Exactly. The coalition is working on that.
I'll be focusing on that aspect in my next report.
It might be a good idea to try a pilot program first.
I agree. The interim results will guide us.
I enjoyed talking with you about this. Let's meet again tomorrow.
I'll be there in a bit. I need to prepare the interim report.
Great. I'll bring the latest data on prosperity metrics.